warnings. Um, yes, I know. It is turbo weather outside in South Florida. The temperature is coming down a little bit, believe it or not. Florida is in it's about sweater territory. You could wear a sweater and not really sweat right now, right? Not a full-on jacket, not anything, too thick, not anything too heavy, but you definitely can wear a light sweater right now and you will be okay. You won't be sweating under. It is turbo weather. So all my supercharged and turbo people, definitely my turbo people, your car gonna be acting different right now, right? So let's do our intros. Like, share, subscribe, hit that super chat. Okay, so I'm going to fix up everything later in the description. And the title might even change just a bit. And this is a response to the brother Obi from We Need to Talk. And when his more recent video, I will have the links and stuff in the description. And obviously, I will have somewhat of a description in the description later on. Um, no, I'm sorry. Indigo Flow said something's up. I don't know. I don't know what's going on. Hopefully you guys can hear me. I hope that. But yeah. So if anything, you guys let me know if there's any disruption or if there's anything going on. If y'all can't hear me, let me know. Yeah. So hopefully you guys can. Yeah. So anyway. So I listened to Obi interviewing the Haitian woman from Canada. I guess Haiti to Canada, right? And whatnot. I guess he interviewed her here or whatever in the U.S. I'm not sure. Um, but yeah, so no, and let's be blunt. No, marriage is not for exclusively for white people. Marriage is becoming a class exercise in elitism, as Mr. Z has said to you guys multiple times, and as the late great Kevin Samuels kind of alluded to and actually kind of spoke to straight up. Marriage is becoming a exercise in elitism. And no, it's not a white institution, right? Um, and even that you can maybe even argue it is some of our understanding of nuclear family, which is what was needed and during the colonial era. There's an argument to be made about marriage actually being a white institution. I know y'all brothers don't really want to hear that, right? I know y'all don't really want to hear that. There's an argument to actually be made that marriage and the way we think of it is a white institution. I'll leave that alone. Maybe we will revisit that later, right? And I don't actually think that's necessarily a bad thing per se. We can talk about that at a later date. But what I'm really focused on right now is marriage becoming more and more of an elite institution. And we can see that in who's getting married. Y'all know I like to say this. Who's not getting married, who's getting married, and then who's staying married. And what you see is the people that are staying married are the people with some money. Specifically, the man with some money, right? Yes, they still do get divorced, but the divorce rate is much lower for these particular people. So according to the American Enterprise Institute, this was also covered by TYT, the Young Turks, a couple years ago, or a few years ago. 26% of poor Americans are married, 39% of middle class Americans are married, 56% of upper middle class and above Americans are married. Now, when you look at the divorce rate and who files for divorce and the number one reason for divorce, money, right, or financial related, women file for 70 to 80% of divorces, right? It's money. It's money. It's not about marriage necessarily being a white institution. Once again, we will revisit that later. It's status and money, right? So because white men tend to earn more, they get divorced less. This is not about like, and I want to stress this because what's been happening over the past 4 or 5 decades in particular, um, is women in general, black women specifically, getting to run the yard with the concept of like black men having some type of character flaw. And that is why black women are reluctant to get married, and then why black women are definitely likely to divorce. And what we're seeing is that's not actually the black men are no worse than any other man. What's really the problem is that they make a few dollars less than white men, and they're not white men in a white supremacist, white racist society. That's the issue. Black women don't really want to have that conversation, right? What was interesting also about the interview that Obi did with the sister is that she did the whole, and you know what really grinds my gears. Y'all know this really grinds my gears. And as a Haitian man, as a Haitian descent man, listening to a Haitian descent woman do the same crap. What did she do, Mr. Z? She did the, we raise our daughters and we love our sons. Yes, she said it. She said it. And all I could think is all the bitter sisters that were mad that they had to be in the house at 8 o'clock and their brothers got to be in the house at 10 o'clock. They're mad that mom said for you to wash the dishes and he didn't have to wash the dishes. You weren't paying attention to the fact that he had to mow the lawn, though. Not that part. Right? You're mad that you had to mop and sweep and wash the dishes. Right? You didn't pay attention to the fact he had to help dad change the oil on the car or mow the lawn. I'm so sick of this because all this idea of like, we raise our daughters and we love our sons, which translates to we're rough and mean and cruel to our daughters and we baby our sons. Whenever you hear women, black women specifically, because this really is a black trope, whenever you hear black women say that, that is what they're really meaning. We're mean and rough and crass and nasty to our daughters and we baby our sons. And what that does is it allows for our sons to grow up or to age, not even grow up, and be immature. That's what women are really saying when they say that. The real issue is that they mad that mom told them they got to be at the house by 8 o'clock or 9 o'clock and they got to wash some dishes and fold some clothes. That's really what it is. They're still mad that their brother got to walk in the house at 10 o'clock or 11. I keep on telling y'all, y'all will meet some some women that are in their 30s, 40s, and 50s still harping on childhood trauma from when they were 15 years old and 10 years old, and this is an example of it. It's sometimes it's not even, intimacy, relationship, or rejection related. Sometimes it's not. Sometimes it's familial, right? And that's what you see with this. So yes, I was very, very annoyed listening to her bring that up. But also, they didn't touch on it so much as the title suggested, but no, marriage is not a white institution in the way I'm describing it right now. Now, we once again say this one more time, we will be revisiting the colonial idea of marriage. And I think I might actually want to do that with somebody like Green Gorilla. If I could ever get an interview with the brother Army Ose Frimpong, excuse me, going over train tracks. Okay, we're over the train tracks. If I can ever interview Army Ose Frimpong, the funky academic, I would love to have that conversation with him too. If I could get Green Gorilla and the funky academic on the same stream and have that conversation, oh, I would love it. That's like a goal of mine. I'm not even lying. Like, that's a goal of mine, to have funky academic and Green Gorilla speaking about black intimacy in relationships and marriage. I'm gonna try to make that happen. I'm saying it to y'all so that y'all can hold my feet to the fire, so that we could, like, let's try to make that happen. Because I think that would be a fire ass stream. But yeah, so you know, like I said, it's not a white institution per se, but our concepts of what it means to be a husband and what it means to be a wife, because of slavery and Jim Crow and colonialism, our concepts of marriage and husband and wife, in particular husband and wife roles, are white, right? And you see that more and more. Shout out to the divestors and the swirlers, and why they say they would rather be, once again, the what they say, I'd rather be a white man's whore than the gum on the bottom of a black man's shoe, right? Because of their concept of what it means to be courted and what it means to go on dates and what it means to be a wife, right? And even when they harken back to these ideas of like provider protector, it's an extravagant understanding of provider, right? And it's an insane view of protector. It's some Rambo concept of protector, right? It's some insane concept of protector. You got to be Arnold Schwarzenegger out here, right? Or Blade or somebody, right? And yes, the media does play a insane role in this idea of what it means to be a protector and provider. We're not, and I'm gonna kind of speak about the Funky Academic real quick, because he did watch, I guess he watched a couple of interviews of Richard Reeves, you know, making his rounds because of his new book, and according to Funky Academic, he actually read the book, so you know this brother be reading. So and you can see Army pretty much saying what we say in the Black Manosphere, which is like, of course women are advancing in education, and of course black women particularly are advancing in education, because the white rich elite men don't see women as a threat, they see them as pliable. Who else told y'all that before? Oops. Right? Who else said that to y'all? Right? And it's not to insult women per se, but it is to say like, you trying to tell me overnight, which is essentially 50 years is overnight, we went from majority men in education to majority women in education, and you think that was just because these people were being altruistic? You think they were like, you know what would be really good and fair if we just completely flip the script? Instead of having majority men in college by 60% or whatever, we're gonna have majority of women in college. You think they did that over the span of 50, 60 years because they thought it was the right thing to do and that was it? Do y'all really want to have that conversation? Right? Once again, like, share, subscribe, hit the super chat. Right? Because what Funky Academic disagrees with Richard Reeves on is he's like, yeah, I don't really think that it's really about what do you say? I don't really think that it's really about, you know, girls being better at you know, discipline and task and whatever. I think it's because the dominant society sees them as more pliable, and because we're doing white supremacy in a gendered way now. So white supremacy the white men will no longer be holding the whip in that way. It will be white women. And because we're so used to white men holding the whip, we're not identifying how white women move about and their oppression and how they oppress. Right? So that also does mean a couple of black women will have the crumbs off the table of white women being the oppressor. But overall, in the next 20 years, we're going to look back and be like, so what really changed about black people in general's current position? So this is where you get Kamala and Ketanji being held up, but yet still, for the masses of black women, they're really not any better than they were 30 years ago. For the masses, right? Yeah, they might have some middle management jobs and titles, but for the most part, nah, not really. Right? So you tie that to the institution of marriage, and you tie that to what it means to be married. Well, if you have a colonial idea of an extravagant idea of men being providers, right? Then when you make some $45,000, $50,000 as a woman, you pretty much price men out, definitely black men out of marrying you. Anybody want to look at that marriage rate again? Right? I'm just gonna say this just to say it because my subscribers usually don't, question me on this type of stuff. Y'all gotta stop questioning Mr. Z on this type of stuff. Right? Because it's less like I mean, these are things that we can see through the actions of the women and what they're saying. They're not coming out bluntly and saying, y'all can't afford me. I mean, some of them are saying that, right? But that really is what it comes down to, right? If your idea of marriage came about because you saw Miss Ann in the big house and how you internalized Miss Ann's position in that familial situation, and you want to recreate some type of Regency era, Victorian era, colonialism version of marriage, then of course you don't want to be married in our current, supposed egalitarian situation, because you still want a man to provide everything, even if you can do it yourself, right? And this is one of the issues that women are running into. So the young lady in the interview with Obi, she was speaking about essentially a woman earning $200,000 a year, and why would she marry a man that earns 60? Those numbers are so far off, it's insane. The median income for men is not 60. You got to drop it down some $15,000 at least, in America at least. And then women that make 200, no woman makes $200,000 a year. I'm sorry, and I gotta be mean. No woman makes it's such an infinitesimal amount of people that make $200,000+ a year, especially women that I don't even Okay, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna try to find the link. It was this channel that it was asking a bunch of people, how much money do you make? How much money do you earn? How much money do you earn? And it was like no one made over $100,000 a year. And then the further up you went, the more white man it became, right? Not even women weren't going too far up past 80 grand a year, right? So when you get to 6+ figures, once you start getting to 150, it just becomes white man, right? Probably when you in the Northeast and in California, maybe you could talk about Asian men, but once again, the Asian community only constitutes 6-7% of the country's population, the nation's population. So once again, white man. So once again, she was using this example of if a woman makes 200,000 or earns, I don't know what I want to say it in a more appropriate way. If a woman earns $200,000 a year, then really what can a man that earns 60 do for her? Well, she has to reevaluate what she thinks of masculinity. This is on women. This is not about men. If the system sees you as more pliable and they know you're not going to question your position, especially if you're earning $200,000 a year, then you're going to have to reevaluate what you think of as manhood. The system chose you. Do you understand 1/3 of households, to break the top 1/3 of households, you earn $100,000 a year, and you as a woman are earning double that? The family's set. Your husband probably doesn't even have to work. Most likely he does. I was being nice. Let's call a thing a thing. Your husband doesn't have to work. Now, if he is working and he's earning $60,000 a year, then y'all are let's water it down. Y'all are a $250,000 a year family. Y'all are a $250,000 a year family. That puts y'all at the top what? Top 10 families? Top 10% families or something like that? Before we even control for race? You're definitely in the top 20% families. That's for sure. Right? But so many people don't quit. They're like, I think one of the beauties of being in the black manosphere is how much we just, especially kind of this section of the black manosphere, is that we just go on and on and on about numbers, right? And I love it. I love it. Right? And not just numbers concerning marriage and divorce, but like all different numbers so that we could put these things into context, right? So when you see that like an infinitesimal amount of people, before we even control for race, when an infinitesimal amount of people earn $200,000 a year, $300,000 a year, that shouldn't even be something that people use as an example, right? But then if you are a woman, let's say you are a woman, especially a black woman, who would prefer to be with a black man and you're earning some $200,000 a year, have you ever considered judging a man off of literally character and personality? That doesn't mean you have to marry a bum, right? But this is when you get, wasn't, now you have the freedom to judge a man off of other things outside of his ability to provide at a supremely high level, right? You're free now to actually judge a man off of other things. His personality, his character, right? His principles, his sex, his physical fitness, all the other things, right? Yes, I'm gonna say it, you guys, his swag. Yeah, that. You wanna know why you could judge off of all these other things now? Because you got the money part set. Like maybe we should just walk around with an income chart so that people can understand where they rank when they make a certain amount of money, especially women, right? Because for women, once you get past like the $55,000-$60,000 a year mark, you pretty much leave everybody behind. Yes, men, right? Like we already see, like I said this on a previous video, 40% of women out earn their male counterparts. 40%. So if you're earning some $200,000 a year, like you're out earning like every man, like by a long shot, right? By a long shot. You got to start judging men off of other ideals, other things. That's if you care, right? That's if you care. And so this is something that, women should care about. Maybe, I don't know, I'm not a woman. Maybe I should take back, women should care about. Maybe I should take that back. I'll retract that. This is something to think about. But if we're going to have a more honest conversation, because that $200,000 thing, that was way too far off. Marriage being a white institution, no, it's becoming more and more of an elite institution, right? And that's okay because clearly we're not really trying to fight that. As a matter of fact, there are men in the black manosphere, there are men in the manosphere in general that are asking women to double down and triple down on judging a man for his money, because these men feel like they're winning because of their income. So they want women to judge them off of this thing that they're really good at. Let's call a thing, right? And once again, I don't think there's anything necessarily wrong with that. But I guess maybe we should make polygamy legal. That way these women could be, your wife number 2, 3s, and 4s. Right? I don't know. I mean, are, is anybody questioning these things? Or is it just like a little segment of us over here sequestered in like a certain part of the black manosphere? I ask once again, what was the point of women earning this money is if these women still supposedly want to get married, they still want husbands, supposedly, but yet they're claiming that they can't be in a relationship with a man that earns less than them or similar to them. They'll settle grinning their teeth, grinding their teeth for a man that earns similar to them. But they definitely can't marry a man that earns less than them, and definitely not significantly less than them. Then what was the point? And I'm specifically speaking about the women that claim to want to be married, right? So when we look at money or finances or however you want to phrase it, um, being the number one reason for divorce in America, and women filing some 70 or 80% of divorces, right? And then when you look at different races and different mixes of marriages, you see that, white women, black men marriages are far more likely to divorce than black woman, white man marriages. I mean, these things practically write themselves. Do we actually have to say why? Before we even start speaking about black women rating or the white man on a curb because he's a white man, right? Money. It's not about character or character flaw. It's the money. That is why the marriage rate is what it is for poor compared to upper middle class and above. 26% to 36%, I mean, excuse me, 26% for poor to 56% for upper middle class and above. And we think that has nothing to do with the money. Or are we saying that poorer men or working class men have a character problem also? It's not that they just earn less than their upper middle class and above brethren. It's that they have a character problem, and that's why they're less likely to be married, right? And then even when for those that do get married, that 26% of, poorer Americans that do get married, they're much more likely to also get divorced. So once again, is that a character problem? Or is it the money? And I get where Obi's going, where he asked that question, is marriage for white people? And that goes to the what Ralph Richard Banks book. I get it, right? But Ralph Richard Banks didn't want to talk about the money part, not in this type of detail, right? And shout out to you, Indigo Flow. That was a great statement. Indigo Flow says, well, we do view poverty as essentially a character flaw in this society. That's a fact. That's a fact. I said once, and I can't remember whose channel it was on, and it might have even been my channel. When people say no struggle love, women, black women, when they say no struggle love, I laugh because you ain't gonna be in love then most likely. Ooh, god damn. Ooh, did I say that out loud? I did. I did. Because the majority of Americans make less than $50,000 a year. That's why. And you're most likely rubbing elbows, talking to and around people that earn less than $50,000 a year. As a black woman. As a woman, I'm sorry, just as a woman, you're most likely around people that earn less than $50,000 a year. Yeah, and that includes white women. That includes a significant chunk of even Asian women. And it definitely includes Latina women. So when black women say they ain't doing no struggle love and they mean money, let's stop it. They're not talking about abuse or domestic abuse or any of that crap. They're talking about the money. Then I'm just going to say, well, I guess you ain't doing love then. Because I understand the brothers that want to be like, well, such and such men are in middle class and black men are this and black men have this money and we're doing okay and look at all the brothers with the suits. I get it. I completely understand the optics and the aesthetics of it all. I get why we try to defend ourselves in this way. I understand. And I understand the brothers that want to stand on that, and that's the argument they want to make. I don't want to make that argument. Not all the time. Sometimes I do. But no, I like telling people, nah, this is what it is. So you said no struggle love because black men don't have no money and black men ain't build this. Yeah, okay, you know what? I concede all of that. Cool. Prepare to be single or be the bust down for somebody or be in on the box. That's how I debate, right? I don't usually give the rosary, flowery, you know what? No. Are you feminine enough? Maybe the problem is you're not feminine enough to attract the dudes with the money. And to a certain extent, that might be true. But even if you are feminine enough, there's only a limited amount of those dudes. Deal with it. And there we go. Even if you are the ultimate in femininity and you're fit and you're kind and you cook and you give good head, there's only so many of those dudes, ladies. It's just that I'm sorry, that is what it is. When some 10 or 15% of men earn $100,000 a year or more, that means only 10 or 15% of men earn $100,000 a year or more. That's the numbers. That's what it is. And that's not factoring in race. That's men. That's not just black men. You know? And the reason why I always stress that is because just in case the one or two, I checked my numbers earlier, yesterday actually, and some quarter of my viewership is women. So that means some women are listening in somewhere, right? And I say these things for the swirlers and divestors that are hate listening, right? Hate watching. So even for y'all that do that, guess what? The numbers ain't working in your favor either if you're trying to marry all the way up that high. The higher up that ladder you go, the wider it gets. Yes, even the white men, the wider it gets and they're marrying white, the higher up that ladder you go. So marriage is becoming an elite institution. What's the child out of wedlock birth rate for Latinas? Isn't it over 50%? White women are the fastest growing number for children born out of wedlock. They have the highest, well, not the highest, but the fastest growing. And remember, they're not even having children like that. They have a 1.6 childbirth rate. You need 2.1 to maintain your population. So of that 1.6 children that are being born from white women, they have the fastest growing child out of wedlock birth rate. Why? Because they ain't getting married, because even white women are like, yeah, you don't make enough. Your average white woman is like, you don't make enough. That's what's happening. And that number is going to continue to go up even though the birth rate is going down. Right? Ladies, this is what y'all advocated for, and maybe y'all didn't advocate for it. Maybe some elite white women did, but y'all ain't find them, so this is where you are. Yeah, you heard right. Yes, maybe some elite white women advocated for this, upper middle class and above, but y'all didn't find them, so this is where y'all are. K Dot said, so it's money. That's why white women divorce black men. What's the number one reason for divorce in America? Money. Think about it. If black women live in a white supremacist society just like black men do, the divorce rate for black women and white men is substantially less than the divorce rate for white women black men marriages, right? Even though black women, I mean, excuse me, even though black men, white women are far more likely to get married to each other than black women, white men, right? Only 1% of white men marry out to black women, right? White men are more likely to marry white Latin. When white men marry out, they're far more likely to marry white Latina women, but we don't really count that because those Latina women classify themselves as white. So when we look at racially, they're far more likely to marry Asian women, right? They only have a 1% marriage to when they marry out. It's only at 1% to black women. And so those black women are not gonna divorce those white men, especially if she's a $40,000 a year woman, $45,000 a year woman, and he's a $60,000 a year man, 65, 70. She's not going nowhere. He damn near got to kill her. She'll let a couple of N-words slide. She'll let him bark at him. I don't know if y'all believe in that marriage grape is a thing. She'll let him do that. Right? She might even take a couple of backhands or one or two. She's not going nowhere. So yes, it's about the money, but definitely about that white skin privilege. Right? Yes, Detroit, that is true. Detroit said white men and Asian women is the highest interracial marriage rate. That's a fact. That's a fact. Shout out to all the black women, the swirlers and divestors. Black men are the most disloyal group of men in America. Oh, shoot. You only say that because you don't know what the hell you're talking about. See, white women know how to play the game. White women are they're livid about white men and Asian women relationships. They're livid about it. But if you didn't know, you would never know. Right? If you didn't know, you would never know. They know how to play poker face. They know how to pretend like it don't bother them. They're pissed. Especially the white dudes with some money. They feel the same way black women feel. The white dudes with some money that keep on getting with these Asian women. White dudes with a little bit of height, right? A little bit of height, maybe some good looks, and he make a little bit of money. And he serial dating Asian women. You don't think white women feel a certain way about that? But like I said, Obi and them didn't touch on it too much. But no, marriage is not. It's not a. The way they're speaking, no, it's not a white institution. I'll touch on. I want to, like I said, I want to speak about that later, especially on a. I want, I want historians or philosophers to kind of speak on that. I don't. I think I might be out my depth touching on that in a specific way. I can only go so far with internet research data, right? You know. But no, marriage is not a. It's not a white institute. Even saying it sounds weird. And the way they're thinking about it, no, it's not a white institution. It's an elite institution. And it's becoming that more and more. That's why you see so many young people in general. And then you couple that with how many of us, millennial and Gen Z, were raised where you don't get married as a sign of adulthood. You get married at the finish line of you adulting. Let me say that again. Marriage is not a sign of adulthood in your early adulthood. So you don't get married at 21, 22, 23, right? Walking into adulthood. You get married when you're done adulting, when you got all your eggs in a basket, right? Specifically the money part. So when you're stable or above, that's when you consider marriage, right? It's a sign that you have all your ducks in a row. And clearly, by evidence of the abysmal marriage rate in America currently, younger Xers, millennials, and Gen Z, it ain't working. That view of marriage as being part of the finish line of adulting, clearly. Because I think it's a twofer. Marriage brings stability, but we also are telling people you got to be stable before you get married. And so that's put millennials, I'll speak as a millennial, that's put us in an awkward position because show me all the stable millennials before we even talk about race. Show me them, right? When I say the internet is going to expose, the internet is exposing us all, or better yet, we're exposing ourselves. When you look at the cold hard numbers, it just shows you more and more what this really is. And when you listen to certain loud and obnoxious people speak, divestors, it just further solidifies that, right? Or that white woman that I spoke about about a month ago, maybe a couple months ago, that was snarling at the camera and speaking. She was pretty much saying men deserve being lonely when we were speaking about the article that said, an increasing number of men, young men particularly, feel lonely and blah, blah, blah. They report, being lonely. When you hear these women speaking like that, it only backs up what we're saying in these spaces anyway. And there's something to be said about not questioning the system that you live in. This is going to what Funky Academic was speaking about earlier about how, these systems, the top 20% rich elite, and haha, the Funky Academic said top 20%. What does Mr. Z always tell y'all? Top 20%. So the top 20% white men see women in general, not just black women, as more pliable, right? And easier to get along in systems. They don't see them as a threat to the system and integrating them into the system, right? Especially if you throw a few dollars her way. So, because we're dealing with a growing amount of people that are not going to, they're not revolutionaries. Let's just be clear. They ain't kicking down nothing, right? They're not built for that. And that's okay. I'm not chastising these particular women for not being built for that. I'm not. But because they're not, and because they're not questioning the inequities in this system that even bite them in the rear end, because oftentimes these are the same women that claim to want to be married and want to be up under a man, but yet they don't question the systems that keep its thumb on working class men. I didn't even mention black yet. And then this same system indoctrinates these women to have contempt for these same men that would upend this system. So let's get this right. The top 20% are essentially using y'all as a buffer class to keep the men that they're afraid of, working class men, away from them. But then you're mad that these men are not upturning the system to make it more equitable and fair while you're in the way. You see? You see how we get into this issue? You're in the way. You like your newfound position, but you're mad that the men aren't making this more equitable while you're in the way of them making it more equitable. I didn't even mention race yet. Oh no, yeah, believe it or not, it ain't just black women that's in the way. And so when Mr. Z says beat a bust down for the top 20% white man or eat the box, I'm not just talking about black women. I'm primarily talking about black women because I'm a black man and that's who I care about. But I'm not only speaking about black women. Right? If we decided that marriage is going to be a, a class exercise in elitism and only top 20% men and women will get married and practice what we consider this traditional marriage model, then cool. All right, cool. But then no complaining. No complaining. No trying to find some religious, zealotry to force young people to get married because God said so, knowing that you're setting them up for divorce. Knowing there's not enough Christianity in the world to keep that woman married to some $35,000, $40,000 a year man. You're setting them up for divorce. Most likely. And when I say most likely, I ain't saying 51% most likely. I like saying that, by the way. I'm saying more like, once again, 70, 80% most likely. Can we have an honest conversation about these numbers? And even for the people that say no, it ain't your choice. The numbers are already talking. That was a rhetorical question, nigga. Right? Like, share, subscribe, hit the super chat. That was a rhetorical question. The numbers are already talking. And it's making a whole lot of people look like fools. All the people that was speaking like it was character flaw, right? All those people. Men ain't working hard enough. Black men ain't working hard enough. Hey, y'all seen how them white dudes is looking right now and a lot of Latinos? Y'all don't know what y'all talking about. Y'all just don't. You just don't know what you're speaking about. You just don't. You just talking to be talking. How that child, like I said, how that child out of wedlock birth rate look for Latinos right now and Latinas? How it look? Over 50%. Was it like 56%, 54% last time I checked? If you told your men and your women, especially your young men and young women, 45 and younger, right? 40 and younger, money first. Okay, then. You told everybody money first under the age of 40. And guess what? Most of them are never going to get to the money like that. What does that mean for your society? What does that mean for marriage? What does that mean for childbearing and child raising? Or child rearing, better yet? Well, the low ass marriage rate and the low ass birth rate show it. This is where Nameless and BGS pop up from the bottom of the screen and say Mouse Utopia Project in Calhoun, and then they drop back down. We're not even doing the things to fight this. There's a way to fight this. There's a way to enjoy the technological marvels of our society without going all the way into social dystopia. There is ways. There are ways, I'm sorry. There are ways. But we're not really trying to fight it now, are we? And that's what you see with Woman King, right? The elite found a way to girl boss our entire society and say, look, we're not doing anything wrong. We're not sexist. We're not racist. Look, black women, power. That's why I keep on bringing Elizabeth Holmes up. Played y'all ass because y'all tried to girl boss her. Look, we're not sexist. Look, the female Steve Jobs. You think she didn't know that? She knew what y'all was trying to do. She played y'all. Billions of dollars. Billions. From wealthy men. Wealthy white men. Shows how smart y'all are. Y'all are supposed to be the smartest people on the planet. At least the best money management people on the planet. And y'all got played by the Steve Jobs wannabe. Right? Now y'all trying to girl boss slavery with black women in Dahomey, in the Dahomey tribe. Really? I mean, even the Disney execs knew this in the 80s and 90s. We sold lifestyle branding to the kids, but mainly the girls. You want to know is once again, Obi, once again for we need to talk. No, marriage is not a white institution. It's an institution for the elites, for the top fifth of for our society, or for the top fifth of our economy, and women are going along with that, and they're not questioning it, and that's okay. So as more and more of them are crying in their cars, crying in their kitchen on the island, crying in their parents' cars, crying coming outside the club. That's not black men's fault. That's not men's fault, but specifically, that's not black men's fault. Women have decided not to question this because they're too busy badgering working class men. They have contempt for working class men. Right? Because stability isn't good enough anymore. Oh well, nothing wrong with that. Mr. Z will not chastise not a single damn woman outside of the women I know intimately. I will not chastise a single goddamn woman for her air quotes standards. But if that's your standards, if those are your standards, if that's what you believe in, if it's this or nothing, right? Or if you're not compromising, or if you're not saying, you know what, why do I want these things? If this is just about ego, or is this me competing against my girl cousin, or is this competing against my sister or my frenemies? Because all women have frenemies. Human women gotta be the most frenemy having ass species on the planet. But because they're not questioning these things, if they end up single, if they end up unhappy, miserable, That's on them. And that's not me saying that with any glee. What you find more and more is women that do not question the systems of inequity, inequality. Sorry, not inequity, but of inequality. Shout out to you, Toya. Toya says, TTT says, Mr. Z got a megaphone this morning, right? And if you're not questioning the systems of oppression, right? The systems of inequality, that's even biting you in the rear end, by the way. If you're getting glee, if you think it's funny to watch men suffer because you think you believe in this cosmic payback thing, right? Cosmic justice as you see it, right? Because we all think we're all the main character in our lives, in our stories. Of course, you're the main character in your life. But if you don't see how these things end up biting you in the rear end, so when they bite you in the rear end, no sympathy, right? Y'all want the education system, you got it, right? White women pretty much run and control the education system. And so the best model of student is a little white girl, which ends up biting everybody in the rear end that's not a little white girl or imitates her. So what do we think that means for black boys? Shit, what does it even mean for white boys and Latino boys? So I can understand you not really fully getting that at 14 years old. That you're not supposed to get at 14. 18 years old. 22 maybe? But when that starts biting you in the rear end, when you're looking to pair up with someone at 28, 27, 30, 32, you're bad. You didn't question these things. So now you're 35 years old calling men dusties. Calling black men specifically dusties. You didn't question the system. You didn't question why you were elevating, and then as you got older, you saw less and less men in your school. Definitely less and less black men, less and less Latino men, less and less working class white men, right? So when it's time to get married, no, shout out to once again Obi, no, marriage is not just for white people. But these women aren't fighting against this current iteration, this Milton Friedman economist understanding of what marriage should be, right? If you're not fighting against this, when it bites you in the rear end at 30 and 32 and 35 years old, I'm not even being, I'm not, I'm being even nicer than Raj because Raj says 30. The Raj report says 30. I'm giving y'all 35, 36 years old, right? You didn't question any of this. What your excuse is? Well, the problem is we love our sons and we raise our daughters, and so they're immature and they don't know. No, no, no. The entire system has been reworked for who they deem is easier and more pliable to deal with. Guess who that is? We're gonna stop acting like money is the final destination. No, power is. And the rich elite will give you your little 45, 50, 60, $70,000 if they think you're more pliable than the $50,000 a year dude. They'll they will pay you $60,000 a year for your compliance. Knowing that you'll never upturn anything, How much money you think the record labels are willing to pay a woman knowing that she's not going to be like Ice Cube and walk in there with a bat and start breaking things? They'll pay you your 65, 70 grand for compliance. They will pay you millions for your compliance. So 60, 70 grand, that ain't nothing. And then you look down on your black male counterparts thinking you're going to get a white man. White men ain't making no 70, 80 grand like that neither. Oops, you're bad. And the Latino men definitely aren't. Right? What's going on, D. Scott? D. Scott says, everyone's black woman social worker. I didn't leave the link in. What I will leave the link. I'm gonna clean this up later. Um, but so what we're speaking about for those of you that's just coming in is we need to talk. The brother Obi, his he interviewed this Haitian woman, and the title of the video was it's something along the lines, is marriage just for white people, or is marriage for white people? And I think it's a play on Ralph Richard Banks. I think that was the author of the book, right? Was it Ralph Richard Banks? Anyone correct me if I'm wrong? I think it's a remix of that. Actually, I think that's exactly what the title of the book was, right? And what I'm saying is, no, marriage is not just for white people. Marriage is becoming more and more an institution for the elite, for people with money, for the professional manager, excuse me, for the professional managerial class. And yes, do those people still get divorced? Yes. And yes, some of those people also not going to get married? And also some of those people, a few of them will have children out of wedlock? Yes. They're not immune to larger societal forces. But I'm sorry, I gotta sound like this, but because we live in a capitalist society, I put a price tag on everything. Guess what that means for your marriages and your relationships and intimacy and sex and all of that stuff? Guess what it means? Look at who's getting married. Look at who's staying married. The further up you go in income, the further up you go in wealth, the more likely you are to get married, and then the more likely you are to stay married. The question then becomes, is it because richer men, or you know upper middle class men, are that are they just that much better at communicating, right? Are they that much more emotionally intelligent, right? Are they just that much more sympathetic and empathetic? Or is it that they just provide their women with more leisure and nicer things, right? It's a real question. Is it that poorer men, working class men, right? Is it that they have that many character flaws? They're that much more abusive. They're that much more reckless. They're that much more immature. Are we assigning character flaws to income level and to wealth level, right? And if we are, then is the brother Indigo Flow correct? In this society, we look at poor and being working class as a character flaw, especially within men. And if we do, then are women willing to hold the bag on, well, then that's why y'all not married, right? And that's why an increasing amount of you are also not having children. One thing I will give millennial women and Gen Z women is that they're far more likely to say, I ain't getting married and I'm not having children unless I'm in this particular situation. That's cool. That's why we're watching even the birth rate go to the crapper, right? If y'all notice, and we actually had this conversation. I think was it on? It was either on Toya's channel or Roga's channel, and we were speaking about being able to speak, right, in language and being obscure with your language. And I think Black Uru was on that particular video. If Toya's still up, she'll remember, right? And we're speaking about, being obscure with your language, sometimes being very blunt and very on the nose with your language, right? Being combative with your language, being defensive with your language. And right now I'm being so very on the nose because I don't want anyone to get it misconstrued. What and let me be so on the nose. People ain't getting married because women have decided that marriage comes with a price tag. And the price tag starts with about 42-ish, $45,000 a year. That's the entry point for stability for them. By the way, at $45,000 a year, you still got a 50-50 chance of divorce in America. If you're in the black community, that's like 70. 70 at the bottom, 80% at the top. So that we're very clear. So for all the people that are, well, the problem is men don't want to step up and no, 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 no. Look, we already got the data to show who's getting married and who's staying married. It's about the money. It crosses over money more than race. Right? Jamfar said, no, I think the rut is going to permeate up over time. There's something to be said about that. I don't fully disagree with that. I still think wealthier people will be married at a higher clip than poorer people, because I think it is a way to distinguish, because you got to remember it will become more and more a status symbol, right? And you do it because you can, and it's a really good flex, right? Now, that's still me with my 20th and 21st century brain thinking about how we flex now, how we show off now, right? So you may be proven right over time when we see showing off and flexing and these things as a class exercise in elitism changing. You might be proven right, further down the line. But as of right now, marriage is becoming more and more of a flex, right? It is a way of showing off, especially for women. It is a way of saying, look at what I got. I mean, we have, Toya's maybe the only woman in the chat right now, but there's a woman bragging about what she can do for herself will always be trumped by a woman bragging about what her man did for her. You buying yourself a pair of red bottoms don't got nothing on the chick who man bought her a pair of red bottoms. It's just different. They brag differently, right? Y'all excuse me in a minute because my neighbor is about to start his loud ass Camaro in a minute. And 5, 4, 3, 2. Wait, he's getting comfortable. This man took like a 20, oh, here we go. Wait for it. Wait for it. Wait for it. There we go. Boy, that thing sound like thunder. I'm gonna describe it to y'all in a minute when y'all can hear me. I love the sound of this thing. Oh man, that cold start, right? Like he's practically on me right now, but he got parallel park out, right? I'm gonna describe what he did to his Camaro in a minute once he leave, and y'all can actually hear me. That is, I don't know if he's just letting it warm up. But that was a really cold start. LaShawn said that's a diesel truck. Nah, bro, that's like a 2012, 20 maybe 2015-ish Camaro. He got it straight piped. So dude drives around with no hood. He pretty much ripped the whole front end off. Not car accident ripped it off, like intentionally ripped it off. Took the headlights out. He got different headlights, all that. You're right. You know. Yeah. So when he cold starts it, it sounds like thunder. My Z don't got nothing on that. The Z is loud, but it ain't that loud. And it definitely doesn't sound like thunder. Shout out to V8s. Right? Push rod V8s. Right? So, going back to what we're saying, and I'm gonna close out in a minute. Um, Marriage is becoming more and more uh, exercising class elitism, and I don't know. I don't want to put a moral standing on that. To be honest with you, I don't want to say whether it's right or wrong. I think it is a product of the times. Once again, Nameless and BGS pop up from the bottom of the screen. Mouse Utopia project, they pop back down, right? I do think it is a product of the time, and we haven't done the appropriate and necessary things in our society to defend against this thing if we thought it was something that was to be defended against. The modernization of society, people having more of these freedoms, to think about these things and feel about these things in a different way. There's nothing necessarily wrong with that. But clearly, there are men and women who claim to want to be married and see that there is something wrong with that. But then what's interesting to me is that these people then advocate for policies and ideologies that contradict making this easier or changing the way people view things. Let me just say it blunt. If you say it's all about the money, then don't be mad when your young people ain't getting married because you told them it's all about the money and they ain't got no goddamn money. When you said no romance without finance, and you've been saying that for decades, maybe even centuries, and then you allowed women in the workforce and now they can make their own money, guess what they didn't do to that bar? It doesn't go from, well, I make 40, I'll be happy if he makes 45, 50. It goes from, well, I make 40, this nigga better be coming to the table with like 70, 60. And is it all the women? No. But it's still enough, a critical mass. And that critical mass is destabilizing the entire marriage market. 40% of your women earn more than their male counterparts. A significant amount of that 40% are opting out of marriage either intentionally or not because they have decided that unless they have a man that earns significantly more than they do, they just won't get married. Right? And there's nothing necessarily wrong with that. Until you look at some of the numbers in your society when it comes to birth rates. In marriage, we still want to practice traditional marriage in majority in this country. It may be a small majority, but still in majority. Most people that want to have children would rather be married to have children, even in the black community. Cool. But guess what? You're putting a price tag on marriage that's increasing day by day. Now, this is not men necessarily doing this. This is the women. And we're not necessarily socializing the women out of this particular mindset. What we're telling the boys And the men is, if she put the bar at the moon, then nigga, you better become an astronaut. And clearly that's not working. So we will continue to see the marriage rate go down and the birth rate go down, right? Once again, it will be people intentionally and unintentionally marrying less, having children less, right? Once again, like, share, subscribe, hit the super chat. You will continue to see this. And like I said, our society hasn't done much to fight against this. Marriage is not just for white people. It's increasingly something that people with means do. They get married. And the higher up the ladder you go, the more likely they are to stay married. And as we know, women file for some 70 to 80% of divorces. That means that women that are married to these men that earn 70, $80,000 a year or more, obviously depending on your city. So let's just say, depending on where you live, the men that earn within the top 20% or so, maybe 25%, those women are far less likely to file for divorce than the women, whoever they are, that marry the men closer to that 50% mark, and definitely are far more likely to stay married to the man in the top 20% than the women that marry the men closer to the bottom 20% mark or the bottom 3% mark. Right? This is not something that Mr. Z is pulling out his rear end. All the numbers show this, like all of them. Yes, this even applies to those of you that think you could use Christianity or Islam as a buffer. Definitely Christianity. There's a whole lot of people, you can't run from these numbers. There's a whole lot of people that from the South. I'm in the South. Yeah, Miami's a little different. It ain't South like BFE somewhere in Alabama or Georgia. It's definitely not that. But there's a whole lot of people that think you could kind of buffer some of these numbers with just a shit ton of religion. I doubt it. And as a matter of fact, the numbers prove that everything from porn consumption to cheating to all of that, being a religious zealot, or and I don't mean that to be necessarily negative, but being very spiritual, it doesn't change that, because one of you are lying. Right? What was the quote? I'm in this world but not of this world, or something like that. I used to hear a lot of Christians say this back in the day. But then when you look at their life, it's not true. Just because you listen to a crap ton of gospel music doesn't really mean you're internalizing some of these different ways of viewing the world and viewing your spouse and viewing marriage. As a matter of fact, much of the religion is teaching you to view him in a very traditional way. And you mix that with some of the consumerism in this society. And when you say provider, you mean at the absolute highest level. Right? Thank you, Trell Bentley. He said, in the world, but not of it. Yes. I used to hear that all the time. And half of those people claiming that are straight hypocrites. We all know them. We all know them. You don't got to start thinking. Don't start thinking about your aunt. We know. We know. We all know them. We all know them. Right. I've had debates with these people. I've said similar things to what I'm saying to you guys now, and then they go right into the Bible. I'm not really well versed on the Bible, so I end the conversation right there. People, whenever you start talking facts and numbers, people run right to that Bible. They go hide right in there. Especially for people like me, we're like, okay, I'm not Charles. Charles is well versed in the Bible and whatnot. I'm not. I just end it right there. I'm like, okay, you got that, right? And this includes family members and relatives. F Holiday says, pull church fan out, bro, right? So, to kind of wrap this up and to answer this once again for the brother Obi, if we told people no romance without finance, and we definitely, women have been indoctrinated with a lot of that, no romance without finance, then you have no struggle love campaign going, you got black women in luxury thing going, right? And some of these things are more recent iterations of some of their old ways they were thinking anyway, but still you have all of that kind of in the background going on. Of course, marriage is increasingly becoming an elite exercising class, or class exercising elitism. So yeah, it'll be more white people getting married than black people and have a lower divorce rate, right? But it won't be because they're white. It's because of their income and class position. It's because of their wealth. I will remind y'all when you know when black men and black women really started not marrying each other around this late 60s, early 70s, there was so much conversation about black men's character flaws and how it was just, and especially by the time you got to the 80s, it was just book after book and movie after movie, especially in the 90s. Oh my God, of how black men were just not showing up and they were the worst in the world and all of this other thing. But by the time we got to the late 20 teens, what did we get? Economically unattractive men are leading to a downturn in marriage. So when this started to affect white men in their performance, right? In their supposed to be husbandly duties and fatherly duties, then we get thoughtful pieces about how the money or lack thereof is much of the reason why white young people aren't getting married, right? And we have them doing the data and the research, and once again, economically unattractive men are leading to a downturn in marriage. Black men didn't get such grace, right? Kareen, Kareen, when you get a chance, email me. I don't have my email address on this video right now. I will have it up in a little bit, but all my other videos have my email in the description. Email me, right? Because there's a conversation I want to have with you and Toya, right? I'm gonna try to figure out what time's best for all of us, and I'll let you know what I want to talk about and everything like that through email, right? So that's okay. I just gave the ability to snipe at people too, Kareen. You know. So yeah, that's what we're dealing with. I think that's what a lot of people don't want to be honest with. I think we have so in before I end out, how did I forget to say this? We have so overly invested in the concept of individualism. I call it hyper individualism, that we refuse to actually take into account how some of these larger forces play and act on us and act on our community and act on our family and all of that, right? And yes, even black people really want to be, a lot of us, not all of us. I don't even know if it's most, right? But a lot of us want to buy into like this hyper individuality. Whatever happens to you, it's because of you. It's because you didn't react correctly, or you did something wrong along the way, and blah blah blah. And that might be true. I believe things like that are true when 5 or so% of your population has an issue. Maybe even 10% of your population has an issue. But once again, when 26% of poor Americans are married as comparison to 56% of upper middle class and above, that's no longer, when you look at numbers like that, that's not because individual people aren't doing the right things and they don't take marriage seriously, or they don't take relationships seriously, or they're too immature. That literally is a income and wealth issue, right? It's because of the way we've internalized what it means to be a man and a woman. And what we're also witnessing is the hypocrisy and the same type of people that are trying to push us forward, supposedly, in our understanding of gender. They're full of crap. They're full of crap. Half of these people talk all this big game about being gender fluid and all this other stuff, and they live some of the most traditional ass situations ever. And they want the most traditional ass situations ever, right? And I want something pretty damn traditional. But I don't sound like these people. That's the difference. Y'all can't call Mr. Z a hypocrite on this one, right? Dr. Dunbar, thank you, Mr. Dr. Dunbar, for being in here. Dr. Dunbar says it's one big cluster. Yeah, I really want to. I've been good on not using profanity this morning, so I really want to say it though. It's one big cluster F, right? And it is. It's one big cluster F, right? People contradicting themselves within the same damn sentence, advocating for this and that at the same time, and sometimes this and that are mutually exclusive, right? You see how much I mean, like, you hear these people talking, you're like, do you even know what you're saying? Right? And so I'll end out with that. Like, the brother Toby, was a pretty, he interviewed the young lady, and it's all right, whatever. But no, it's not. Marriage is not a white institution. It's becoming more and more of an elite institution. That's all. Nobody really want to call it that, because all of the other things that's going on in our society, like I said, everything from consumerism and materialism to this hyper individuality that we got going on, right? To obviously racism, right? And no one wants to just say, no, it's the money. Oh, and it's the women. Oh yeah, we definitely don't want to say that part. It's the money, it's the women, and we've internalized way too much economic understanding of everything in our society, this financialization of everything. I said economic understanding. I should have said that differently. It's more financializing everything in our society, right? That's why I keep on stressing to y'all, like, neoliberalism. put in a market-based valuation on everything, you get here. And what you're seeing is that women have adopted this way more than we would like to admit, this way of understanding and viewing the world. And so they have put an insane price tag on marriage. So if it's $45,000, give or take, to walk in the door, and once again, that's dependent on where you live in the country, right? It's definitely not $45,000 in that Bay Area, right? So if it's $45,000, depending on where you live in the country, to walk in the door, or to show some type of stability to qualify for marriage as a man, you're still probably going to get divorced. But what does that mean for how much you would probably have to earn to most likely see your marriage through to at least 2 or so decades, right? Enhanced utility. Did you answer my question before I even asked it? You said you need at least 70. Do you need at least 70 to probably keep that marriage for 2 decades? At least, right? Yeah. Oh, enhance it. I think it's 300. You think you need 300 to keep that marriage for a few decades? God damn. You know? And I wanted to be honest, like, bro, we have, and respect to all my subscribers, um, we have brothers that listen to me that are married and been married for a little while, right? We have obviously single brothers that listen to me. We have brothers in relationships that are not married. And all I like to provide is a, a context for what we're living, what's really going on, because I don't want to overly moralize the situation, right? And I think we've done so much of that. Just, this is wrong, that is wrong, this is right, that is right. Or hit people with this weird ass, like, meritocracy, because we really buy into this hyper individualism, and we buy into the meritocracy, and then you end up, right? Cleveland said he been married for 21 years. Shout out to you. Trell Bentley, 10 years before she passed. Rest in peace. My condolences, Trell. Right. Late ass condolences, but my condolences. See, I got people listening, and that's why I speak the way I do. I speak the way I do because first, I have an idea of some of the people that are listening in, but then I don't, because one time, if y'all remember, FD was listening in, right? He made a comment. I would have never knew he was listening in if he didn't make a comment. Also, like I told y'all, like 24%. And I don't know, it kind of doesn't make sense to me, because when I check my analytics, on certain videos, maybe I get 10% of women listening in, 5%, 15%, but mostly it'd be zero. But then when I'll check my overall channel, like a quarter of my viewers are women. So it doesn't make any sense. I don't understand it. Whatever. But I'm speaking the way I'm speaking so that it can be on record. So that if we could get one black woman to get her mind right, right? And definitely to inform the brothers about what's going on. Definitely to inform the men about what's going on. But also, if we could get one woman to get her mind right, then we're doing our job, right? And so that people can have a better understanding about the environment. Because when we say, when Ralph Richard Banks pretty much says, yeah, marriage is not for white people, but maybe black women need to marry out. That's the other part of what he was saying. Black women need to expand their options, and when they backwards compliment someone, but they really going at somebody else. So complimenting black women about all their achievements and accomplishments, which is really sniping at black men, right? When we do that and we don't pay attention to the class element and the income element, and that actually, when you look at white men, it's the same thing. Who it's or very similar of who's getting married, who's not getting married, who's getting married, and then who's staying married, right? No one really wants to have that conversation, right? We've been speaking too much like it was a character flaw in black men. That's how we've been speaking for way too long. And the numbers are proving more and more that that's not true. And the women are proving more and more with their rhetoric that that's not true. And even the way we're speaking about these things because it's affecting white men is proving more and more that's not true. That's why I bring up economically unattractive men are leading to a downturn in marriage. Because once again, when it was happening to black men all through the 60s and 70s, it's because black men are shiftless and they don't take marriage seriously and they don't take women seriously and they don't take their duties seriously, right? And they want to have pump and dump and all this. Well, I mean, that wasn't the term they were using back then, but the sentiment, right? But once it started affecting the white guys, right? Same thing with suspension, same thing with ADHD prescriptions and whatnot, you know. So I'll end it right there, you guys. I'll pause right there. To Obi and to the sister that he interviewed, no, marriage is not for white people. It's becoming more and more class exercise and elitism. That does not mean that every single working class and poor black person that gets married is eventually going to get divorced. That does not mean you're guaranteed to get divorced if you make some $40,000 a year, $35,000 a year. But the likeliness, now that's a different question. The probability, especially compared to your siblings and cousins and whatnot that earn some 80 grand a year, yeah, right. That's what we're speaking about, right? No, Kareem, my email is in my description for pretty much every other video, right? Just click on the previous video, my email should be in there. Click on the one before that, my email should be in there. I'm gonna put it in this one later on too, but I gotta, you know, y'all know I work nights, so yeah, I recorded this, while driving home, and now I'm like in the car in front of the house, right? Yeah, yeah, yeah. Definitely want to have a conversation with you and Toya, pretty much about what women be talking about with other women when it comes to relationships and marriage and sex and intimacy and you know. Because if you ever been to a barber shop, you pretty much know exactly what the niggas be talking about. That's pretty much how we talk when y'all are not there, right? Pretty much exactly how we talk, you know. I'm reminded, God damn, I'm still talking. I'm reminded of the brother Donovan from the Grapevine and an episode when he said something like, he started hanging around. I think he said his male cousins or whatnot, and he was surprised that straight men are not just talking about having sex all day and like what we do with women and all this other stuff. And He was surprised that some of the brothers were shaming other brothers about, bro, you ain't never gonna get married or whatnot. And I'm like, wait, Donovan, you're surprised. And I wish I would have been at the table. I would have been like, wait, Donovan, you're surprised that straight black men aren't monsters? You surprised that we don't sound like the raunchiest rap song all day, every day? I don't know what it, bro. These people bubbles got to be goddamn bulletproof. Whenever I hear women or like some of the LGBTQ brothers and sisters talking, they're like, "Oh my God, straight black men aren't the worst thing on the planet." Yeah, duh. Where the hell y'all been? Oh, I know. Y'all have just been in your own bubbles regurgitating the same crap to each other over and over again. And the only straight black men that ever enter are the simps. Those are the ones y'all like uphold as the model, you know. I'm gonna make it funny. The model minority within straight black men. The ones that kiss y'all ass and say the same things y'all say about the rest of the straight black men. You know. Okay, okay. I'm gonna read these two last comments and I'm gonna end it out. So enhance utility says Tom Brady is getting divorced, so the average American man is toast. And Kareen says, wait, so who he hang with? Or wait, I'm sorry. So goddamn, my comments is moving fast. Wait, so who he hang with? He live in Flatbush, Brooklyn, not Marcy for gay men. I mean, that's what the brother said. This was years ago. He said this maybe. I know the video's still up. He said this, Kareem. He said this maybe 4 or 5 years ago now, something like that. It's more than 3 years ago. It gotta be like 4 years ago at the least, right? On one of the Grapevine episodes, right? I was, by the way, low key, and I'm not making fun of Donovan. Donovan, you ever hear this? I'm not making fun of you. Shout out to all you sisters that couldn't tell Donovan was gay. By the second episode, I was like, that nigga gay. The second episode I ever watched, I was like, it's not so much Donovan's mannerisms as much as the way he speaks and the way he advocates. You know that's not a straight black man speaking that way about other black men. I knew that nigga was gay. And I think one time somebody slipped up and said something on one of the episodes, and then I went through the comments and you just saw a whole bunch of heartbroken sisters in the comments. I'm like, how the fuck could y'all not? God damn, I was not gonna curse. I'm cursing now. Sorry, y'all. Y'all got kids in the car. I'm sorry. I was like, ladies, how could y'all not tell that Donovan was gay? You know why? Because y'all want men, straight men, to sound like that so bad that you bamboozle yourselves into thinking that straight black men actually sound like that. It's the same thing with Derek Jackson cheating on his wife. Like, how, like, bro, this is a swole chisel chin dude. You think he ain't what? Just because he keeps on throwing straight black men under the bus? It's always interesting to me when like brothers we could tell and then women don't want us to tell them so bad. I know every man listening to me right now, straight man listening to me, has been in the situation where you could tell a brother's gay, but you can't tell none of the sisters that he gay because they don't want to hear it until he actually come out as gay. And you're like, but how did y'all not know? Right? Because y'all really want to, it's going to be messed up if I say this. Y'all really want to believe that there's a bunch of straight men that would rather be around women than other men. Y'all have convinced yourselves that men that want to be around other men are somehow gay. Y'all don't believe in a brotherhood. Y'all don't think that's a thing. So if men would rather be in camaraderie, in community with other men, y'all automatically think that's some gay stuff going on. And so men should be want to be around women. And so the brothers that want to be around women all the time, but then they don't necessarily they want to be around women and then not want to have sex with those women. Y'all have convinced yourselves that those men are not gay. What? He want to be around y'all and not have sex with any of you? Listen, ladies, word to the wise. If a dude keep on hanging around with women and he ain't trying to have sex with none of y'all and he doesn't really flirt with y'all, that nigga gay. And I'm not even saying that to insult gay men. A dude that's hanging around a bunch of women, he want to pipe one of y'all. At least one. Maybe the whole team. Indigo flow. You know what? I don't. Okay, okay, Kareen. Okay, it's interesting what you said because, and Kareen says he only dates white men. He alluded to it on one of the shows when he says he got Ashley the job. Yeah. Okay. So my understanding of something that he said on it I don't remember if it was that episode because I know which episode you're speaking of, or if it was another one. Is that from my understanding, he dated black men or he dates black men, but because of, and this is me saying kind of what he said, paraphrasing what he said, but because of how intense he is and because of his personality, he didn't want to limit himself to just dating black men. And I think it was one of the episodes because they did a couple of episodes so far on interracial relationships, right? And it was one of those episodes where he goes into that, right? Or can you be pro-black and not be with a black person? I think it was one of those type of episodes, right? And when he said essentially like he essentially said he knows his personality and he knows he's intense, and then that's hard for certain black people to deal with or black men to deal with, so he dates white men. All I heard is the same thing I think with a lot of swirlers and divestors. Y'all just want that white validation, bro. And I'm not even trying to question Donovan's like pro-blackness or whatever the hell. I'm just saying like it's one thing to talk a whole lot of black stuff. It's a different thing to talk that and then be with a black person. So when I say that, I mean it's one thing to chastise black men as a black man who is in a relationship with, and I'm gonna be fair to gay black people, who's in relationship with another man or with a black woman, with another black man or with a black woman, because then you gotta go home and put your words to the test. So if you're a black man, a gay black man, chastising or you align with this kind of intersectional black feminist worldview, it's easy to talk that stuff when you're not in a relationship with a black woman or with a black man. Because if you're in a relationship with a black woman, then you got to see what straight black men are dealing with, obviously. And if you're in a relationship with a black man, then you got to be in relationship with a person that you just was talking crap about 2 seconds ago. And you yourself, you're talking crap about yourself. Right? Or my apologies, y'all call it critiquing and telling one's truth. Right? So whenever I see these black women that talk crap about black men in your interracial relationship, I'm like, yeah, you took the easy way out. Of course you would have. Of course you're not in a relationship with a black man. That's why it's so easy for you to air quotes critique black men, particularly straight black men, right? Same thing I thought about Donovan. I was like, yeah, like when he said that, I was like, nigga, so not only are you gay, you out here dating white dudes and I didn't even care when Donovan came out as gay. First of all, I already knew. But when he came out as gay, I didn't even really see anything. I was like, okay, whatever. I already kind of figured that. But then when he came out, like, I was more appalled that he was dating white dudes than I was that he was gay. I'm like, nigga, you are a cheater. That's how I see it. So You get to critique straight black men the way you do because one, you're not with a black woman, so it's easy to talk crap because you don't got to deal with what we got to deal with from black women. But then not only that, you're not even dating a black man, right? So you're like a super cheater. Well, yeah, we knew. Yeah, we knew, Kareem. Yeah, we knew. But it kind of they never really said it until one episode. I think one person slipped up and said something, and I remember everybody looking like it wasn't supposed to be said on screen. Right? What's going on, Sir Anthony? Sir Anthony, why aren't you? Now you are. Right? Yeah. So yeah, it was straight cheating. Straight cheat. I'm like, wait a minute, nigga. No wonder you could talk so much crap about straight black men. Nigga, not only are you not with a black woman, so you don't got to deal with their attitude the same way we got to deal with it, you're not even with another black man. So you don't even got to deal with the hypocrisy of talking about black men. Yeah, you talk particularly crap about straight black men, but you're not even in a relationship with black men, nigga. Right? Yeah, no, Donovan was this brother. I'm not gonna lie, Donovan be having the crispest tape lines ever. That nigga tape line be fucking sharp as a motherfucker, right? But no, it was this brother, Jamaican cat, that the women were swooning over, on the grapevine. He's kind of one of their producers. Ashley's the host. It's Ashley, it's Donovan, and it's another sister that be off screen. They showed her a couple times. I think they showed her when they went to Britain. They showed her once. She went on screen, and I don't know if Uchechi is somebody like I know. I think Uchechi is one of the cousins of Ashley or something like that. I'm not 100% sure. Um, but yeah, La Zulu, I get it. I get it, bro. I get it. I get it. Trust me, I get it. La Zulu said, "I hate Donovan, bro." Look, I get it, but it became super clear to me. I was like, okay, this nigga gay. I could tell by the way he's talking about black men, right? But then when it came out that this dude and then the way I've never seen Donovan contort himself in that way to make an argument, and the way he was contorting himself to make the argument about dating outside the race, and he was like, it's about spirit and connecting, and I'm like, nigga, that don't even sound like nigga, you dancing, nigga, you dancing, right? And when I saw that, that's, bruh, as much as I disagreed with Donovan on so much shit, and as much as that nigga pissed me off the way he spoke so often, that one episode is when I was like, nah, nigga, nah, bruh, nah. Nah, this I never seen you do this, player. You contort. You look like a pretzel right now, right? Now Uchechi is king or queen hate nigga. I'm sorry, Kareem. I can agree with you on that one. Uchechi is the one person that drove me the craziest on the grapevine, because you could tell all her, because she a heavier set sister. I ain't gonna talk about her looks, whatever. I'll let people judge that. You could tell whatever resentment she got from childhood. Oh, she took that shit right to adulthood. Every time Uchechi talk about a nigga, she can't talk about black men without practically snarling. Whatever y'all niggas done did to that chick in New York, probably ignored her. Bruh, hey, Uchechi can't stand her a black man. And I wouldn't be surprised if she's in a relationship with a black man. I remember she was engaged, and they kind of announced it on the show and whatever, but I don't know what came of that. I don't know if it actually turned into a marriage or whatnot. But yeah, Kareem, Uchechi don't like niggas. Right. Oh yeah, yeah, the sister that passed. Yes, yes, yes. Yeah, 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 yeah. Yeah. She was very chill. She did say some things I disagree with, obviously. I mean, that's life, right? That's humans. But yeah. Yeah, when she passed, that was very sad. That was very sad. How we turn this into a grapevine show review, right? And you're right. Uchechi was engaged, and I don't know if if she eventually married whatever dude it was. But man, Uchechi, boy, you want to talk about a black woman that don't like black men? Damn, man. Well, yeah, Kareen, because they kept on stressing the Patreon thing, and they were like recording shows and then putting the commercials on, putting the advertisement for the show on Patreon, and then they would like, if you paid a certain amount, then you could choose the show, and you could go to New York and meet them, and blah blah blah, and maybe you'll be, I think you would even be on, and believe it or not, y'all will find this comment. Y'all could find this comment. I left a comment once, years in, what are we in, 2022? Maybe back in like 2015 or something, 2016. And I think my comment was so fire. Ashley reached out to me and asked me if I'm in the New York area. Ashley is the host of the show, by the way, you guys. I think it was Ashley. Yeah. I don't know if her comment is still there, but my comment, it's probably still there. But my comment that, triggered her to invite me on. Yeah, man. But yeah, the Grapevine to a certain extent was kind of ahead of its time as an internet show speaking about these different black issues, and it got big. Certain episodes got pretty big, right? One of the biggest ones was Sarin pretty much saying she hates Bruno Mars and she hoped he would die, something like that, right? She pretty much saw Bruno Mars as like the Elvis of R&B, right? Indigo. I ain't even gonna read your comment, Indigo. I'm not. I'm not. Let me read Kareen's comment. That's definitely right. Kareen says, very feminist, but good snapshot of how young black people were feeling, Sir Anthony. So I'm happy you said that, Kareen. So when everybody I put onto that show stopped watching, including my own female siblings. They couldn't, it just made them cringe, right? Because it was so feminist. It was so feminist that even my own female siblings were like, I can't do it. Right? So, man, I put so many women on the Grapevine. Like my male friends, they couldn't, they just refused. They refused. They watched 2 episodes, like I can't watch this shit. But even my female siblings and female friends couldn't watch it after a few episodes because it was just like, it was too damn feminist, right? It was drenched in it. And one of the things I continue to tell everyone is these are some of your movers and shakers in the background, right? Some of some of your movers and shakers in pop culture, they're in the background. The people on the Grapevine are in the background. Because I remember watching a BET, what was it? It was a BET concert or something like that. I saw Mouse in the audience. Like, I think one of them slipped up. I think one of them worked for BET. One of the brothers worked for BET or something like that, right? If not, and I think at least one of the brothers worked for BET that used to be on there a lot. So that's why, to me, what Grapevine was doing was important. It wasn't them as much as it was, oh, so this is how some of those people that you don't see that work for BET, or people that you don't see, that this is how they think. And they got the ears of some of the people you do see on TV, or some of the people you do see on camera, right? And so when we speak once again about the black elite and the black professional managerial class and the black movers and shakers and the black thinkers and some of your black writers to Harriet, right? And some of your black writers to Woman King, and maybe some of your black writers, these are those people, right? These are those people. That's why the Grapevine was important. I peeped that early on. These people got some connections. These ain't no nobodies, right? And I think Uchechi, one day they were speaking to Uchechi, and she went to, what school did Uchechi go to? I can't remember. Was it Dartmouth or one of them? It wasn't Colgate. It was one of, like, if it wasn't an Ivy League, it was like one of the second tier schools. I was like, oh yeah, these ain't no nobodies, right? So yeah, so that's why to me they were important, and the way they spoke was important, because it wasn't just about them. It was their background, what they did for a living outside of Grapevine, and the fact that so many young women, young people in general, but young women identified with them in the comments. You could see how often certain people were clapping it up, and like they would clap it up for some of these corny ass feminist quotes and all that other shit. I'm like, yeah, that I could see where this is going, you know. I'm not sure, Kareem. I'm not sure. I'm not sure. Yeah. Yeah, it was either Dharma. It was one of those, one of the Ivy Leagues, or second tier. That's why they matter. I mean, I could even tie that to what we're speaking about, the overall topic subject that we're speaking about, where marriage is becoming a exercise in class elitism, right? I remember listening, and shout out to the brother Sergeant Willie Pete. Sergeant Willie Pete was talking about Ashley, boy. Sergeant Willie Pete was drooling. I was like, yeah, Ashley be having them days, you know. There was a couple of sisters I thought were really cute on the show, but like you said, I'm like, none of them were married. Every once in a while, I know, no, there was a couple of sisters that actually went on to the show. They were on once or twice, but and they were married. But look, look at that, you know. I mean, if we keep on telling these people, and then you got to remember too, we were just talking about the money here. I didn't even speak about how many of these women weed out men because they want you to align with them politically. They want you to align with them socially. They don't want you to have any type of whatever views they think. I'm being very careful what I say here. They think is homophobic, or they think is transphobic. By the time they deal with their weeding out process, only a half a man could fit through, right? That's the problem. No wonder y'all keep on saying open up your options to whoever, because y'all done weeded out. Once you start doing income, wealth, height, looks, status, blah 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 blah, y'all weed out men so much it's only like 2 3 men left. You know, that's unfortunate. We actually saw that on an episode of, what is that name of that show? I forgot. Abba and Preach covered it, where I think it was a little Asian chick, I want to say, Asian woman, young Asian woman, and like it was one of those things where like she weeded out so many men, like no one was left. Literally. And I think the last dude when he was leaving, one of the last dudes when he was leaving, he was like, oh, you're gonna die alone, or you're gonna die single, or you're gonna be single forever or something. And the Asian girl was like, oh, that's so mean, or that's so rude, or something like that. She said, oh, like she did something, and like Abin Preach laughed, and I remember laughing too, because it's like, but look how you weeded out the men. And like I think that's a perfect microcosm of what we got going on, right? Like you're weeding out men because of money and status. Then there's the looks aspect. Then there's the whether y'all align politically and how y'all view the world, right? This is before we ever talk about whether y'all want to have children, whether the way he thinks that y'all should raise children is the way you think that y'all should raise children. Like, the weeding out process, man. Sir Anthony, it was very interesting and very hard to stomach. Brothers, man, brothers from the Black Manosphere, y'all would, I'll just say, y'all would be leaking blood out your ears from many of the things that was going on the grapevine, many of the things that were said. Yeah, it was a hard watch often, but I'm a glutton for punishment, so I watched it. I watched every freaking episode, honestly. Gregariousness, yeah, it was either Jubilee or The Cut. Yeah, it was one of those where the Asian young woman, she pretty much filtered out all the men, and I think what it started off with, like, what, a few dozen men or something like that, or a dozen men, something. It wasn't no 2 3 men. It was like a nice chunk of dudes, and by the time the filtering process, like, she just filtered them out, and like by the time she was done, there was no dudes left. You know, and you know, I am, aren't I? Indigo Flow said, you definitely are a glutton for punishment, Mr. Z. I am, but I watch things and listen to things because I want to have a better understanding of how others are thinking, the world I share with other people. What do they feel? What do they think? What do they believe? Um, because I know what I think, right? And, these people are going to be, there are people that are going to be important. Like when I was working for the Florida Democratic Party, I remember saying this to my mom. I was like, Mom, these people are going to be important. These people and the people they're friends with are going to be important because I was working with Harvard grads, UCLA grads, right? They were doing this, and then after this, they were going to go to law school. They were going to go do they were going to grad school and stuff like that. So I was like, Mom, these people are going to be movers and shakers. Maybe you won't see them, but they'll be aide somewhere in somebody's governor's mansion. They're gonna be something. These are gonna be speech writers and all different type of things, right? So you know, and that's why to me, Grapevine was important because when you look at some of these movies, some of these TV shows, and it's just drenched in weird black men are the devil feminism, you got to know that people like this are writing, right? People like this are in the background, right? That's why to me it matters. Oh, Lazulu said it was 20 guys. She filtered out 20 guys, bro. Nearly 2 dozen men. Hey, whatever, right? But yeah, that's why to me it matters. That's, you know, much of the reason why I was able to predict accurately Trump's victory is because I would read the comments under videos that others wouldn't. I saw the enthusiasm for him. And I saw the fact that the Bernie bros were not going to vote for Hillary. That was one of the discussions I had with at the time my mentor, one of the women that brought me in. I told her, because she was like, yeah, the white women said the same thing for Barack and they ended up voting for Barack. And I'm like, yeah, I think you really severely underestimate These men, like they when they say they, especially the white dudes, when they say they're not voting for Hillary, they're not gonna vote for her, and they will. And still to this day, I think we seriously underestimate the power of spite. People will screw themselves to screw you. If you have a larger agenda, they will say, you know what? Yeah, this is gonna. I don't like this guy either. I don't like him either. But I really don't like you, and I really don't like what you did to Bernie. I really don't like what I feel the Democrats are doing. So I'm going to. This is either a protest vote or just sheer a vote out of spite, right? Yeah, my living standard won't get better. It ain't gonna get significantly worse, so I can afford to vote out of spite. And I was right, right? So but I only could get there because I had watched and read and consumed enough things to understand, or I had built up a tolerance to reading and watching things that I thought were uncomfortable, right? And then it allowed me to then read certain comments that led me to, yeah, the enthusiasm is behind Trump. And so the glutton for punishment, it allows me to see things and watch things that are not necessarily flattering, right? That are not necessarily comfortable, right? Outside of gore movies and stuff like that, I'm pretty good at, like, you know, watching and reading things that aren't all that great. Right? Okay. Well, your dad was right. Kareen says, my father said he would win based on the media coverage. My dad, no online, but watches slot. Oh, well, I think you meant a lot. A lot of politics shows. Yep. 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 Yeah. Yeah. Indigo Flow says he would rather he likes speaking to people with opposing views one on one. Yeah. Yeah. And which you will often find is some of the most staunch conservatives, as a lefty, I'll say this to y'all, are disillusioned, defected lefties, right? And like that's going back to what I was saying with the Bernie bro thing. Like, you crushed these people hope in this, not just him, but what he represented, right? And like, you turn these people salty and sour, and they didn't stay neutral. They went all the way to the opposite side. And it's like, well, if you believe this politically, then why would you vote for a person that's this politically? And he's like so far to the other side, to the other extreme. And it was like, because you crushed their hope. You crushed their hope. And because you crushed their hope, and because you you called their bluff when you crushed their hope, right? When you crushed their hope so publicly, you called their bluff. You said, yeah, and we know you're going to vote for Hillary too. You can't do that, bro, because she's the better candidate. So we know you're going to vote for her. And I'm like, yeah, I don't think y'all really know who y'all dealing with, right? Dr. Dunbar said, the sheep don't care about the details and facts, just their feelings. Facts on facts. Facts on facts, right? And that's unfortunate, because sometimes the most important things are delivered in a in the worst ways, in the most uncomfortable ways, and none of us necessarily like it, right? None of us necessarily like it. The path of least resistance is a thing. It's real. But not building up a tolerance. I mean, like, we're not even telling people to take a flu shot, right? Like, we all, kind of scream for that. We're asking people just to read or watch things that might be a little uncomfortable, but that will give you a better understanding of the world, and that will actually affect your life positively, right? You can speak to people better, you can understand people better. That might actually have a positive effect on your job, on your relationship with your spouse, on your relationship with your children. But people are so, what's the word I'm looking for? They're so against, that's not the word. It was going to be way bigger than that. But they're so against anything that makes them feel uncomfortable. They stay in their bubble, they stay in their box, right? And you end up in the situation you kind of have now, where more, what they said, under, what was the age group where they said, when they polled them, they would, if you don't align with them politically, they would not even have sex with you. They wouldn't even consider it. And it was a sizable portion of young men, but it was like so many young women. They were like, yo, like, if we don't align politically, I can't even consider it. Right? And that, like, that speaks to kind of where we are now, right? Damn. We keep on using the word bipartisan. Sir Anthony said, I spent a lot of time on the divested channels. It's become a guilty pleasure. Karine said they're lying. You think they're lying? So if third leg Tyrone, that, that y'all heard it here first. That's a new term. If third leg Tyrone flirted with a lot of these women and they found out he was a staunch conservative, they'll still give him a chance, Karine? Right? But going to what Sir Anthony was saying, yeah, man, like, I watch the divester stuffs to just be like, wow, there's black women that think like this about black men. Wow, this might be the chick that gave me too much sass when I was ordering breakfast this morning at McDonald's. Wow, like I'm doing the haha Davis Wow thing, right? Like, wow, like, this might be the chick that cut me off earlier and like gave me the middle finger, like, right? Like, you know, this might be that black girl I saw walking with the white dude that was looking at me like she was hoping that I was looking at her, right? Like, whenever I watch divester content and I read through the comments, I'm always like, but who are you people for real? Like, you people really exist. Y'all are like real women, like real black girls and women. Like, and I don't know which one is worse. Believing that they're trolling, like they're like in an echo chamber and they're kind of like gassing each other up, and it's like, who could out neo-Nazi the other, but they don't really live that life and they don't really believe it for real, or they really do believe what they're saying. I don't know which one is worse. Mm. Yeah, Themis. I've seen Themis all through a bunch of divester content, comments section, and everything like that. And yeah, Themis. I agree with Kareem. Themis comes off like he was bullied when he was younger. That I told y'all heard it. Y'all remember, Mister? I'm gonna just keep on patting myself on the back. I don't even want to be a whole egomaniac, but I'm gonna do it right now. I walked into space also saying that a lot of these people are dealing with some childhood trauma stuff, and they in their 20s and 30s, and they still talking about some stuff that really happened to them when they were like 15, 16 years old, and they never let it go. Right? And so what Themis comes off to me as is the brother that found sanctuary, he was like super overtly who he is, right? He wasn't one of the kind of cool gay dudes that people knew he was gay, but nobody made fun of him. Like we were just like we were straight with him, whatever. He came off as one of the gay brothers that like just did too much. It was just way too just did too much. And like he found sanctuary with black women. And so now he's like go to war for black women, right? And talk crap to black men, right? And I wouldn't be surprised if, you know, he's with a white dude or he's gonna end up with a white dude. I would not be surprised. Demon's just he be doing too much, right? What's going on? I'm listening. Ah, Jordan, you ain't ish. Jordan said, AKA Ostefco. Ostefco, we can already see what Ostefco's issue is, man. Ostefco could be in a relationship. Ostefco could damn near be married, right? Ostefco could be married. Ostefco could be in a relationship. Ostefco's issue is what she wants, what she finds attractive, and what she finds appealing. And that's cool. Then be single, bro. Right? And Ostefco's situation to me is more representative of what a lot of swirler divestors, and I'm not necessarily putting her in the exact same space as swirlers divestors, but what they're probably really living. They talking a whole lot of crap on the internet, but they have dated and had sex with white dudes, and even that hasn't produced the outcomes they want. And Ostefco's that example, right? Dated black dudes, dated white dudes, but you're still single. You're what, 37, 38 years old, and you don't have no prospects, right? I tend to like Julesy too. Like yeah, I see what you're saying, Jordan. Like Julesy to me, Julesy, I see what Julesy is low key preparing her subscribers to be single perpetually. Same thing with Kim from For Harriet, by the way. Same thing with Kim from For Harriet. Kim from For Harriet and BGS called it, man. Like he called it. When she made that video that I covered, and I think BGS covered it also. No, BGS covered it, and then I covered it. So let me don't even say I think. Where she pretty much said like, you know, we always have the option not to mess with you type thing, and like BGS called it. It sounds like a heartbreak. It sounds like she went through some stuff, and then come to find out like later on she did go through some stuff, right? So BGS was correct in that, and that's funny. He said it, and then we found out that he was right. You know, let me move the car real quick because this person is using a hand blower real quick, and I need to move because that thing is loud, and he's gonna be around me for a while, right? And yeah, man. So yeah, that's the interesting thing about yeah, that's the interesting thing about Julesy. I think all of them, right? Like there's a bunch of them that's I I don't know if they're in a relationship or not. Like T Noir, T Noir is kind of cute, but whatever. Nappy headed Hoba, like a bunch of them, right? Khadijah, like the it's so like okay. When do you do the inventory on your life and say maybe the way I view these things might be affecting my dating life, my intimacy, my whatever? Because I'm not saying that all these women are single. I don't know, and I don't know if they're all single or if they're just dating around or if they're in serious relationship shit. For all we know, maybe even a couple of these women are married to men, right? Um, but I find it interesting when these women talk, and I'm like, who's married to you? Like, who's in a relationship with you, right? Like, that's why y'all don't see me. I'm in a relationship with a black woman. I don't talk about black women like they're monsters because I don't actually believe they are. Wayward, yes. Taking advantage of this system and their position in it, yes. Pretending like they don't know what's going on sometimes, yes. This is gonna bite them in the ass, yes. But full-on monsters, we live in a white supremacist society. Like, I'm gonna put what black women have done over what white men have done, over what white women have done? Hell no. Right? But then when you listen to some of these sisters talk, they do put what their feeling of whatever black men have done them, or whatever wrong they feel like black men have done to them or other black women, above white supremacy. And that's how you get the Cynthia G's, right? That's how you get Cynthia G, right? Where she's being interviewed, and every time they mention racism, white supremacy, she finds a way to pretty much say, well, black men are colluding with it, and they're perfectly okay with it, and da 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 da. I'm like, okay, well, right? Gregariousness, I'm not gonna read your comment out loud. It's hysterical. You know what? I'll read the beginning part. Fake talk with Ronnie. Yeah, man. Like, share, subscribe, hit the super chat. Y'all over here, we all commiserating and stuff. Right? Y'all done kept me an extra, hours since before I said I was gonna leave. I got work in a few hours. I need to go inside and take a shower and go to sleep. I'm over here talking to y'all. Right? Let me read the rest of your comment. Well, okay, so that's what me and 18th Letter often speak about, gregariousness, is that you see these people make a change for the money. You see their rhetoric change for the money. And that's why I told y'all, I don't care what, bro. I don't, if I turned around tomorrow and y'all made me a damn YouTube millionaire, I still wouldn't sound like black women are the worst thing in the world and we need to abort black female daughters. And I don't, in my heart of heart, I don't believe that. And I couldn't speak like that, not only because I don't believe it, but I don't want to put that out in the universe. Right? That's why real talk with Yanni was kind of weeping with the Asia Maynard. Was it Lawrence Smithfield or Asia Maynard situation? And she low-key said that she kind of feels somewhat responsible for that. I refuse to feel like that. I'm not going to send y'all out here to chase after some non-black woman. Y'all date her, she drug y'all. Next thing we know, such and such was found in this chick's apartment, right? Unconscious. No. I'm not sending my subscribers out here to be food for some white or Latina or Asian shit. Right? And these people, with all of their anger, their resentment, and them just literally just trying to make money, let's call a thing a thing. They found where the algorithm pays the most, and they just feeding the algorithm and their subscribers just nothing but rage porn. Right? And you literally have these girls clapping it up for these content creators. They're going out here trying to live this life. And you're food. I keep on telling them, for those of them that listen to me, I keep on telling them, y'all don't know these white boys. Y'all don't know them. Y'all do not know them, bro. Y'all think what y'all think is they're dumb. Y'all think they're dumb upper middle class white boys and they don't see y'all coming. Y'all have no idea. Y'all keep on underestimating the white dudes. Y'all think they don't see y'all coming. Because especially those of y'all that kind of grow, y'all were raised in the hood, y'all know the Latino. The reason y'all ain't really going at the Latinos, because y'all know, yeah, we kind of grew up together. They see me coming. They know. They've been around black women. They kind of know. They've been around black girls. They kind of know. But y'all think the white dudes don't see? Man, you will be surprised. The white dudes that have had sex with black women, you will be surprised. And yes, they're married to a square ass white woman now, but you will be surprised the type of white dudes and the type of white dudes that have had sex with a black woman, right? Because we all think it's just you know, white boy Mike or around the, yeah, no, nope. You'll be surprised. Jonathan Bust Down Brigade. But yeah, man, and that's why I'm like, y'all don't know what y'all talking about. Y'all just don't know. And they don't. They don't. These people, they talk about relationship and intimacy, and especially like being in a relationship with a non-black person, particularly obviously a non-black man. Like they're just going to the store and picking these people up off the shelf. That's how I know they don't know what they're talking about. I could get me a white man. Y'all saw that clip recently, what his sister was on, whatever show she was on. Y'all act like y'all the only ones. I could go get me a white man. I could go get me a Latino man. I could go get me. I'm like, so you just walking into the store and picking one up off the shelf and then ringing them up and walking out the store? You sound foolish. You realize you're talking about another human being, right? With their own preferences and their own way of viewing the world and their own way of thinking and their own way of whoever they find attractive. Whenever people talk like them, like, who are you talking about? What are you saying? Jordan asks, Mr. Z, aren't they flying down to Miami to chase them white men down there? Look, your standard regular white American white dude in South Florida is not checking for black women. It's not. It's bad. Like I said before, it's benign racist. Like I even feel a certain way about it, right? And I'm for black relationships. It's really messed up. And that's why I like, at least in my environment, like a Latino, okay, that's a different story. Even a white Latino, that's kind of a different type of situation, right? But like WASP white Anglo-Saxon Protestant white, it's not. That's really not a thing like that. And that's why I always, whenever I see black women saying that, I'm like, are you sure? Because I'm not saying that black women are not in a relationship with white men and that black women don't have sex with white men, and they might not even be a little thing for some 3-6 months, but like full on turn to marriage, nah, not in any significant number, right? Because it even looks awky. Like y'all know, I work nights. One night it was three. It was literally they were together. It was three couples of white man and black women, and two of the couples just looked so awky. And it's not that the sisters were ugly. Actually, one of them was very cute, but they just, the way they were dressed, it was just so, it was off. It was just off. Two of the three. First of all, this look orchestrated because three of y'all is three black women with three white men. Okay, cool, whatever. Let's say y'all a friend circle and y'all screw black men. We're all gonna get us a white man. Okay, cool. But then two of the three, it just, and these are like younger. They look like they were somewhere in their mid-20s maybe, and it just didn't look right. Like it didn't flow, right? It didn't look right, and I mean, if it works, it works. You know, I don't know these people. I'm not that invested, but you know, off of just initial and first glance, it 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 didn't flow. It's something. It just the way they were dressed, the way they were walking. You know, the the sisters, they didn't come off like super hood or gutter, but they just came off a little bit too, air quotes, urban than the white dudes, right? And I've been around white dudes. White dudes can fool you, right? If you see them at first glance, they come off square as hell, and they might even be. But then you find out what type of music they listening to, and then you find out what they're into, and whatever. But it's I'm saying those white dudes didn't even come off like they were necessarily even that, right? Spainman says in Europe the percentage of black people are smaller than the U.S. Yeah, yeah. Not secret rendezvous. Spainman says I stay in a small growing country town outside the city, and I'm noticing it's a low-key swirler haven. I even see them secret rendezvous in the grocery store parking lot. LOL. Man. Yeah. Yeah. Gregarious, that's a great comment. Gregarious says, I'm perplexed to know if sisters like I think you mean that of Ashley, that Ashley, Uchechi, and the others from the Grapevine, many other places, TikTok, are, what do you say? Damn it, are irredeemable to reeling with some brothers. I don't know. You know what? I don't know. Does is there a TikTok version of the Grapevine? That's a good, because the Grapevine actually was a little bit ahead of its time. Actually, that's the interesting thing. They're a little bit ahead of their time with some of the things that they spoke about and how they spoke, right? And somewhat candidly, somewhat, right? Jordan says the Grapevine was a psyop. I kind of feel that too. I kind of feel that too, right? It was mainly non-ADOS black people speaking about mainly ADOS kind of relationship issues and topics. Now, yes, these black people clearly live in the US, right? But I was turned off when, was it Uchechi that called the US like a transient country or something like that? And that shit pissed her in off. And I'm not even ADOS, and that shit pissed me off. I was like, wait a minute. Y'all gotta stop playing down, because to me it's like spitting in ADOS face, right? And you saw that a couple of times on that show. As a matter of fact, when they had the conversation about ADOS, Caribbean blacks, and African blacks, not so much the Caribbean blacks, and although there were a couple of comments that I was like, hell no, I wish I was on that panel to disagree. Because what's the brother named, the chubby brother that was Haitian descent? Y'all know who I'm talking about. Kareem might know who I'm talking about. He said a couple of things. I was like, oh, hell no, I disagree. I wish I was there to be like, that nigga thinks that. I don't think that, right? But a lot of the African brothers and sisters came off so like disrespectful of ADOS culture, of their work, of everything they've done and put into the game of being black, right? Was it Mike? It was what was the name of the chubby Haitian cat? And he was conservative. And when Trump won, he wore the Make America Great Again hat. Carl, yes, thank you. Yes, Carl. Yes, thank you, brother. Big game, yes, Carl. And Carl said some stuff, and I was like, oh, hell no. So, yeah, I didn't, that was one thing I didn't, yeah, right? The conversation that they had about ADOS and like, we need to, and like they always try to do the kumbaya thing at the end of those, we need to understand each other. Look, straight up, we're in America. ADO, it's not ADOS' job to understand you. It's your job to understand them. If I was in Nigeria, it would not be ADOS' job. It wouldn't be Nigerians' job to understand ADOS. If ADOS people moved in significant number to Nigeria, it wouldn't be Nigerians' job to try to understand ADOS. If Nigerians moved to Haiti, it wouldn't be Haitians' job to understand Nigerians. Would it be nice? Yeah, it would be nice. Would it ease a little bit of tension? Maybe. But it's not their job. And I think what has happened is because, once again, white society gets to play winners and losers. And so in this country, not in Britain, but in America, they decided that Nigerians are going to be the model minority within the black race in America, right? Nigerians get to play this kind of we're black, but we're kind of better than black game within the race in America. And because white racists have their thumb on the scales for them here, they get to play that well, we don't use racism as an excuse. Nigga, y'all soft compared to white people. Y'all soft to white people. They see y'all as safe. And that does not mean that, bro, I've been around Africans. Work ethic, yes, but that's not why you're getting elevated. Stop it. It's not only because of your work ethic. It's not only because you put your head down and grind. That's not the only reason. I'm not saying it's not one of the reasons, and I'm not dismissing that. I'm not dismissing your family situation. I'm not dismissing the work ethic. I'm not dismissing the nepotism in the background. All of that's important. But when you come out your mouth and say, I don't use slavery as an excuse, don't you then see why you're in the position you're in? Because you say things like that. So if you're saying things like that, I know you say things like that when you're in the presence of white people. Right? Okay, Sir Anthony says the ADOS term bothers me. I prefer FBA. Technically, you're ADOS. Eh, I mean, I'm a descendant of slaves, but I'm not an American descendant of slaves. Right? But yeah, so yeah, the game that's kind of being played, especially when you practice flat blackness and like all black people are black people and that's all that matters. It's like, yeah, but no, right? Yeah, but no. Especially, and then people know the game when they stress their Igbo last name or their Yoruba last name, right? You're like, you know what's going on. That's why you keep on trying to make sure that they know you're not Black American, right? Or FBA, right? Yes, Jordan. Yeah. I actually want to do a Jordan asked me, Z, are you going to do a stream where we can pop up there and talk to you? Yes. I actually want to do one on Sunday afternoon. So let's see how that goes. I mean, yeah, I am American. That is true, Sir Anthony. I was born and raised in South Florida. You know. I didn't know that, Kareen. Carl was a swirler. He dated an Asian girl. uh, I remember when they had the issue with him towards the end of their big kind of, when people really were watching, when they had an issue, I think some crazy stuff he was saying on Twitter and it kind of got unearthed, right? But yeah, I mean, yeah, that was one of my biggest gripes with the Grapevine. They were way, bruh, they layered so much feminist crap rhetoric on the Grapevine. It was disgusting. It was disgusting, bruh. And I was just like, and I just kept on thinking to myself, who's gonna marry y'all? It's messed up. It's so messed up. But I'm like, yo, not even white dudes trying to hear this. Like, no wonder y'all advocate for women to open up their options and whatever. Like, no wonder Donovan like is like, said what he said and he was open to dating out and whatever, because yo, whatever y'all call this supposed constructive criticism is just excuses to go date out. So go do it. Right? I know the other conservative guy you're speaking about. Yeah, Kareem. I don't remember his name either. Right. Yeah, it's just, yeah, the Grapevine, and there's been, like all of this stuff on the internet. Like I keep on, the internet's real. Yes, some people are putting on, some people are fronting, some people are being extra, but when you see the women, oh yeah, once again, like, share, subscribe, hit the super chat. When you see the divestors piling around with racist cops on Clubhouse, I mean, that's real, and that could have real life consequences. Because now those cops think they can harm people, or let me say that different. Now those cops may feel like they can harm black people, black men specifically, and black women will be okay with that. Because certain black women have said to them, you know, I think like you, I just can't say it within the black community. Right? And you know who else? And speaking about somebody we ain't mentioned, Doug. Doug, man, I saw Doug contouring himself all type of ways too. Sometimes you could see Doug didn't agree with certain things, but he didn't say. You could see it on his face. I was like, nigga, I see you ain't saying nothing. And Doug is the product of a swirling situation. His mom is black. His dad was white Jewish. Right? Now we don't know if his mom was full on divester, but his mom and his dad, and if I'm not mistaken, his mom and his dad were still married. Oh, I don't know anything about it, Kareem. I don't know anything. I know there's something going on, but I don't know anything about it, and I don't know if I'm gonna really investigate it too tough. You know. Oh yeah, Kareem, and he's married with a child to a nice chocolatey sister too. Right. But once again, as a matter of fact, I had a back and forth with Doug in the comments also, and I think I kind of alluded to what I'm saying now, where like marriage is becoming more and more of a thing. Like I think he was talking about love and everything like that, and I was like, no, nigga, this is about money, right? So Doug is Drake part two, but the other way around, right? But yeah, this whole thing right now, I don't know. Like I said, I think we'll end up with this because we went way off the original topic. Um, Marriage is becoming more and more of a class exercise in elitism. That's pretty much what I was saying from the beginning, and yeah, yeah, that's true. I'm reading Gregarious comment. Ooh, Kareem. Kareem said, so it hit different when you have children with all the feminist LGBTQ stuff they were promoting on the grapevine. I mean, you advocate and you speak a certain way. You feel a certain way about black men. And you well in your 30s because um Donovan was older than me. I'm almost certain that Ashley was older than me, or maybe Ashley's a year or two younger than me. Ashley's like around my same age, right? Uchechi, I think the same thing. And I'm like, but what do y'all like? Look how y'all speak about black men. Uchechi, like I wish I was making videos back then. Uchechi, when she got engaged, she was saying something along the lines she never thought this would happen because she essentially, let me boil it down. She knows she's a difficult person to get along with. She knows she's a difficult person, and so she never thought she would ever get married or let me take that back. She said she essentially made peace with potentially never getting married or whatever because she essentially knows she's a difficult person, bro. And I think that there's so many people, namely women, namely black women, who are in that exact same place. They just don't have the verbiage to say it, and they don't have the ovaries to say it. I know I'm a difficult person, and I've resigned myself to potentially being single indefinitely because I know I am hard to deal with, but I don't want to change this. I may not be happy with who I am necessarily, but I'm content enough to not want to change this. And so, knowing that I'm a difficult person, translation, know I'm a fucking asshole, I don't really want to change this. So, I'm just going to resign myself to potentially being single for however this is, forever or whatever. Until a man is desperate enough to bow at my feet and take me as I am. Right? Hopefully, that'll be before I can't have children anymore. Right? Spain man. Spain man said a Maya type of marriage. For those of you that don't know, oh, you're saying something to Jordan, okay. But yeah, for those of you that don't know, Maya married herself. The R&B singer, big in the 90s. She had a couple of hits in the early aughts also. Married herself. Right? Yeah, so I heard that too, Kareen. Wait, but her parents were pushing her to get married. Yeah, yeah. I don't know if she ever did. I remember towards the end of me watching, she was engaged. I don't know if she ever got married though. Man, yeah, Maya married herself. Yep. Dr. Dunbar. There's a lot of that. Almost never any contrition or willingness to evolve for the better. But Dr. Dunbar, evolve for the better. Why would they do that when they think they're better than you? They've been socialized to think they're better than you, right? And when I say better, even if you earn more, right? Even if you do certain chores around the house, right? You wash dishes sometimes, you wash clothes sometimes, you sweep sometimes. We're dealing with the group of people in a significant number. Now it's up to everybody to decide whether it's most or a large minority or whatever. But we're dealing with a group of people who truly think they're better than you, right? They're and that better oftentimes come from like things that can't be measured, that are like intangible, right? So they think they're emotionally, more mature than you, spiritually more mature than you, right? Obviously they have the ability to bear children and we don't. So they just think they're better in these ways because if it's measurable, then that's what they'll throw in your face. But if if you if you're like Dr. Dunbar and you're degreed up and you're accomplished in your own right, then they start going to the things that can't necessarily be measured to show that they're at least on your air quotes level, if not still better than you, right? And so when we speak about evolving and like kind of being introspective and self-reflective and maybe seeing where you might be the issue in your situation, or maybe how you might be contributing to some of the issues you might be having in an intimate, relationship. These people don't do that. They don't do that, right? At the very best, if you're uber lucky, some of these people do the whole, well, I did because you did. And maybe I wasn't right, but I only did this as a reaction or response to something you did or you said or this situation. That might be the best most men can get. Rarely do you come across, at least from my experience. I don't let me make sure I say that. Rarely have I come across a woman, either in my intimate situations or not, that openly admit they're wrong, period. Not I did because you did, right? But you know what? I was wrong for that, or I'm sorry for that, period. And then really go about showing you, and this is even more rare, really go about showing you through action that they mean what they're saying and show real contrition, right? And that, I don't know, I can't even tell you how rare that is. Whew, not just a throwaway line, sorry, but like a, wow, I'm sorry, and like go, like you could see it on them that they're truly, yeah. Maybe if they hit you with a car or something, maybe you'll get it then, but I don't know. I know, right? Kareem, Art, why you up? I need to go to sleep too. What am I saying? What's going on, Art New Stove? We got two doctors in the room. I need to have a doctor panel. Hey, nobody steal my idea. I need to have a doctor panel before everybody else. If I could, Dr. Dunbar, Doc Art, Green Gorilla, Dr. T Hassan, Dr. Neil, right? We just gotta have a doctor panel. Try to pull in all the doctors I can. And we could talk about your schooling process, right? Your hobbies, what y'all do outside of, your particular work field. Yeah, all of that. And how you found your way into the Black Manosphere, how long you think you've been in the Black Manosphere, all of those type of questions. Yeah, that's definitely dope. That would be nice. I'm coming up with ideas, everybody. I'm coming up with ideas, but like I said, I really, two things I want to do. I wanted to have a interview with BGS, right? And I'm actually gonna I got to talk to him. I'm not even gonna tell y'all all the details on that, but I really want to have a conversation with the Funky Academic and Green Gorilla about Black intimacy and relationships. I really want to have that. Art New South said B Manosphere neutral. I gotta be more like Switzerland. I gotta be more like Art New Style. AL said Dr. AL2. That's actually, there go another one. A blue collar episode for all of us in the field, right? Kareen said BGS. Kareen dropped a 20 just to say BGS should be on that panel too. Thank you, Kareen. I respect it. Yeah. Yeah. Yep. 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 That's true. Give give BGS his honorary doctorate. Right? I mean, like, why we bullshitting for real though? I mean, like, much of the reason some of us are here is because of BGS. If we're gonna be honest. Right? Much of the reason why some of us are here. And he continues year after year, month after month, week after week, day after day, hit us upside the head with some obscure information we either forgot or we didn't know. Right? Yeah, the funky academic is married to a white woman, but we ain't gonna hold that against them. I still want to have the conversation. Right? Plus, the funky academic doesn't come off to me like I'm with her because I don't F with black women, right? I think in any other circumstance, I could have saw the funky academic with a black woman also, right? I didn't even know that was a thing. Better you said. I don't know. Erica Badu did not apologize for running over a J Electronica. Did she hit J Electronica for real? I didn't know that was a thing. I didn't know that was a thing. I agree, Kareem. Kareem says, not an issue if you're married to another race. Just don't disrespect black people. Second that. Yep, yep. Funky Academic is a pure scholar and goes in on white women. Doesn't he? He be flaming them. Check out one of his most recent videos, where he speaks about essential and this dude, like, I love the mind of philosophers, dude. That's why I like listening to Green Gorilla and like listening to Army, especially black philosophers, right? Um, and he speaks about kind of gendered white supremacy and how what you the way white women are gonna come about oppressing us, and I'm paraphrasing now, is gonna be different than what we've seen in the past with well, excuse me, with white men. And I think because we're so used to the way we see it with white men, we're having a difficulty identifying this newfangled, right, white supremacy, maybe with a softer hand, right? Once again, I come back to girl boss feminism and Elizabeth Holmes, right? Damn, she caught 3 4 wheels. She caught him with 3 4 wheels. Uh, damn. Wow. Wow. I didn't know that was a thing. Erica Badu hit J Electronica with a car. Hey, you see, man, if you got an issue with a woman, you really got to watch your back, because look at what the homegirl did with that minivan. She couldn't even wait until he was in the clear for real. She killed the other older man trying to get at that one dude. The van caught air, y'all. The van caught air because she was so eager to hit this man with a car. Then you got the other video of the sister that destroyed her car trying to hit her ex-boyfriend with the damn car. She crashed into the same wall like 3 times. Then y'all got the other video from what, last year or a couple years ago, with the other black woman that hit the man with the car and then threw the bumper on him. This is ridiculous, man. Hey, but like we said, the internet is exposing us all. I live in South Florida. Some of y'all live on the West Coast. Y'all live in the deep South. Y'all live in the northern Midwest. Y'all live on the Northeast. And because of the internet, we're able to see these kind of obscure news clippings that we would have never knew about. You would have never knew about what was going on in Oklahoma or wherever, right? And now we can see more and more people in their savagery, but in this particular case, women, black women, using vehicles as weapons against their spouse or their ex, right? And that, yeah, that's crazy. It was 4 years ago? Wow. That's crazy. Dr. Thunder, I got 3 doctors in here. I'm racking them. I'm racking them. We got 3 doctors in the building right now. That doctor panel gonna be fire, right? Dr. Dunder says, just finished up a live stream about stoicism versus passion, and Courtney Michelle showed up. Hey, I got 3 doctors in the chat, you guys. Think I'm gonna make myself a paper award or something. You see? I'm about to give a whole speech like I won an award. Right? So I don't know about the back and forth details. I'm going to refrain from giving any opinions on this. One thing y'all will see, unless, and I'm going to say this now, I'm going to hold myself to this. Any back and forth ever happen in the black manosphere, Mr. Z will not take sides openly unless it's that goddamn serious. So I will always be, knock on wood, a sideline watcher for back and forth, right? Unless it's that serious. We start talking about some money stuff, right? Or something like that, that's a different conversation. But like, I try to restrain myself from kind of giving my 2 cents, and I've been like that since I was a kid. Even when I was in middle school, I was not the one that ran to the fight. I was the one that was like, oh, they fighting over there? All right, I'm cool. I'm walking the other way, right? I've been like that since I was a kid. You know, got 3 doctors. I don't even know where to start. I've got 3 doctors in here. So Dr. Thunder, we just were well, the original stream, we went way off from the original stream. The original stream was supposed to be about, and I did speak about it in the beginning, marriage not necessarily being it's not about being white. Marriage is not for white people. It's that marriage is becoming increasingly an institution of showing off class. It's about classism more and more, honestly, right? And so that's what I kind of went into some details, and the numbers that I spot off all the time that I like to say: 26% of poor Americans are married, 39% of middle class, and 56% of upper middle class and above. And I think those numbers were as of 2017 or something like that. And that was from the American Enterprise Institute. That's so people can know I'm not pulling this out of my rear end. And I went on for that for about an hour. And then since then, we just been freestyling and talking about everything. Yeah. Kareem. Oh, man. Yeah, man. And yeah. Yo, what's going on, Terenzo? Okay, Roger's about to start in a minute. I'm gonna use this as my exit. And Kareem, email me and let's see if we could set something up. I already got an email from Toya, so let's see if we could set something up. Um, Torenzo, you goddamn super fashionably late. Torenzo, the brother that walked into he the one that walked into the event while we putting all the food up, right? When the foil paper is going back over the macaroni. Oh man. But yeah, so send me that email, Kareen, and yeah, so like I said, it's this marriage thing, relationships, intimacy, I really don't like that it has a price tag on it. Even though I'm out the game, I'm in a relationship, but I don't I don't like what I think the fallout of this is gonna be and what I actually see the fallout being, right? That and a lot of this is self-imposed, some by the men, but mainly by the women, right? Yeah, look, it's super early for you guys, but I'm coming off of work. You guys are going to work. You guys are waking up, right? I'm coming off of work, so that's why it comes off super early. Shout out to Spain, man. Ah, Indigo Flow says, ain't no cola champagne left, Lorenzo Jones. Hey, it's all about the cream soda, um, the champagne, right? If you're from the islands, it's really about that Jupina, that champagne, the Jamaican champagne cola. Um, yeah, man. Watermelon soda, that's fire. That's that's like cocaine, y'all. That's just it's addictive. It's really good. Um, all the patties gone. You got to be from the Caribbean, right? Jamaican patties, Haitian patties, right? All the patties gone. Yo, the patties been gone. Korean, stop playing. The patties is the first thing people go for. That's the first thing. That's finger food. The patties be gone within an hour, right? If you Caribbean, the patties are like the first thing gone. No matter what event if the patties are at anything, we at somebody's birthday, we celebrating grandma's 80th or 90th birthday, we at a wedding, if the patties are there, they're like the first thing gone. That been gone, right? Whether it's Haitian patties, Jamaican patties, who else? I think Cubans have their patties, but it's a little sweet, right? They glaze over the crust on the top. They taste pretty good too, but to me I prefer Haitian patties and Jamaican patties, but they theirs taste good too. They be gone. Oh, oh, Toya, you had Haitian patties too before, man. I'm telling you, it be gone. It's gone, right? Empanadas too, gone. All of that, any type of like place you go, event you go to, and it's like Caribbean people or whatever, make a beeline for the finger food as early as possible. The patties and all of that, because that's gonna be the first thing out of there. Right? Oh, Karina about to start a whole Haitian versus Jamaican argument right now because I would argue our crust is better. I think Jamaican patties are definitely more famous than Haitian patties. That goes without saying. They definitely taste good. I put them on the same level, just different, right? Just it depends on the day where when I would rather have one over the other. But then it's also how it's prepared too. I'm not gonna lie. Because I've had some fire Jamaican patties and some fire Haitian patties. It all depends on who's making it, right? If you want the best Haitian patties, obviously you have it'd be best if you go to Haiti. But if not in Haiti, in Miami, definitely in Miami. New York Haitians definitely could do some nice. They could bake you up some nice patties, preferably meat, not fish, right? Thank you, Dr. Thunder. Dr. Thunder says here to support, right? Right? But yeah, preferably because like even Jamaican patties, like the curry patties, all the different patties I've had, I prefer the beef patties. They're like, you know, preferably spicy too. The best. Curry goat. I'm more jerk chicken. When it comes to Jamaican food, jerk pork, jerk ribs, jerk pork, and jerk. I know a lot of the brothers in here. Swine? Yes, swine. Yes. Don't worry, eventually I'm gonna get off of it. My girl does not eat pork. Her family does not eat pork. So guess what? Eventually she's gonna get me off of it. Y'all know how it works. Y'all know women slowly erode you. So I'm enjoying this while I can, so that when we finally really move in together and she slowly shames me into not eating pork, and you know you got to eat it in the car or away from them, right? So I'm enjoying what I can enjoy now before it's too late, right? Spain man said no pork on the fork. But man, I'm telling you, jerk ribs, oh, it's a place in heaven, right? The place in jerk ribs, man. Oh, jerk pork is on the same level for me as Haitian fried griot. Griot is like, it's pork. It's like pork pieces that are fried. For those of you that don't know, and it's really because, but it has to be seasoned right. Shout out to black people in us seasoning our food. I know all of y'all saw those clips floating online of of the white people saying they don't wash their meat, and like no matter what type of black you were, we collectively sighed. And whether you Caribbean, from the continent, from Black American, it didn't matter. We were all like, "What? Y'all don't season y'all meat? Y'all don't wash y'all meat, and then y'all don't season it. Y'all just put a little freaking salt and pepper on the top when it's grilling and whatever." Meanwhile, black people let their stuff stew in the juices in the fridge for 2 days before they freaking grill their food and before they cook, which is the best. Right? Come on, man. That's the best chicken I've ever had. It's my mom's, obviously, but everybody says that. It's because we just let it sit in the juice for like 2 or 3 days. And even, what's the craziest part? Even if you're not gonna eat it, you put it in the freezer, right? For a week, it just let it sit in the juice, and then when it defrosts, the juice is all in there, and then you put it on the grill, and you got a masterpiece. Charcoal grill seasoned chicken? Are you serious? That's been sitting in the juice for a couple days? Come on, man. Nothing like it. Nothing like it. Kareen said chicken feet soup. Kareen going all the way to the eyes. I can't do it. I can't do it. I don't like turkey leg, neck. I don't like no chicken feet. Nah, Kareen, you really Kareen went all the way in the bush. I can't do it. Look, Haitians eat it too. I can't. I'm not one of those Haitians. All type of goat feet, chicken feet, right? Oxtail. I've never been an oxtail person neither. Right? I got Haitians, Jamaicans that'll kick down a door for some oxtails. My girl like oxtails. I don't like oxtails. And my girl's Black American. I just don't like oxtails. We have a close thing. We have so our spinach and Haitian spinach, we call it legume. My girl, once again, Black American, she'll mess some legume up. I don't care for legume. Maybe because I grew up with it, right? I don't really care for legume. It don't do it for me. Like, yeah, it don't really do it. It don't, yeah. Bun and cheese, bun and cheese. I've never cared for bun and cheese like that neither. Don't kill me, Kareen. My sister likes bun and cheese. My younger sister. Obviously, I got Jamaican homeboys, bun and cheese, bun and cheese. I'd be like, let me get the patties. Bun and cheese really don't do it for me. Yeah. I don't dislike it. It's just, it never was my thing. But yeah. Yep. I'm telling you. Yep. Who got the best macaroni and cheese? I give it to Black Americans. I give it to ADOS/FBA. I give it to FBA. The mac and cheese. I think we all do a pretty damn good job on the mac and cheese, but Black Americans, I don't know, bro. That if there's a gold award, who got the bronze? I mean, who got the gold? I think it's FBA with the gold. Kareem said, "I'm not emailing you." uh oh man, don't do that, Kareem. Yeah, that baked mac and cheese. First of all, if it's not baked, is it even really mac and cheese? Right, because my mom bakes the mac and cheese too. I'm spoiled now. I've been spoiled since I was a kid. If it's not baked, is it even real? I'm down for it, Art. Art says I will put together a non FBA family panel if people show up. You know I'm there, Art. You know I'm there. Yeah. Because I got some stern words for my fellow non FBA people and the effery they've been up to for the past 30 years. Right. Indigo Flow said #1 for mac and cheese. American #1 for mac and cheese, and Trinis and Jamaicans could fight it out for second spot. For real. What we need to have, I think it'll be an all-out brawl though, because I think we'd be fighting over the food. Um, is a black diasporan like freaking potluck or something. I don't know. I think we would all like leave 100 pounds heavier. I really do. I think we would all leave like 100 pounds heavier. Right? Jollof rice with Haitian rice and fucking whatever, whoever. Well, everybody's gonna make chicken because everybody makes it a little different, and it would be fire, all of it. And then we just try everybody's food, like wine tasting, but for food. Oh no. Nah. And then we don't gotta worry about um we don't have to worry about whose food isn't seasoned because it would all be seasoned. And we don't got to worry about people letting their pets in the kitchen because no black people mess around like that. None of us, right? Not the black Americans, not the black Caribbeans, not the black Africans, like, right? We don't got to worry about people in their dirty ass utensils while they cooking because we all got clean kitchens. Oh man. Man, let me get out of here, man. I should have been off. Should have been off. Long time ago. Shout out to Sir Anthony. Shout out to you, Kareem. Shout out to Dr. Thunder. Right? Shout out to all the brothers that brothers and sisters that put a couple dollars in. Shout out to everybody for being here anyway. Wow, I could scroll up. Can I scroll up all the way in the comments? D. Scott. Yeah. Okay, let me get out of here because Roger's streaming. Y'all go ahead and listen to Roger while y'all at work. You know, I didn't get to see what his panel is gonna be about. I'm gonna go take a shower and go to sleep for the next couple hours before work. And my girl is gonna look at me like a crazy person when I walk in the door because she's gonna hit me with the "Where have you been?" And I deserve it because it's not even like I'm an hour late than walking in the door. Like 3 hours late. All right, y'all. Let me get out of here. Was it Kareen? I think Kareen and Toya were worried about my sleep. No, it's Toya. Toya was worried about my sleep, I think, when I first started doing videos. Because I was on a panel, then I was on another panel, then I think I did another video. And I think, was it Toya and Indigo Flow? It was Toya. No, it was Toya and Winston. Winston were like, I worry about Mr. Z sleep. Oh, wait, she. Hey, I'm already being spied on, y'all. Let me get out of here. Oh, man. I'm already being spied on. I've been had. Oh, man. All right, y'all. I will see y'all later. Kareen, Toya. Well, Toya already emailed me. Kareen emailed me. And we'll have that try to have that panel. And if y'all want, y'all can bring another woman on too. She said I'm a vampire low key. Am I? Am I though? All right, y'all. Y'all have a good rest of y'all day. Go check out the other channels on the Black Manosphere. Go check out non-Black Manosphere related stuff so y'all can learn something. Y'all know I try to keep y'all up to date on my community tab. I would post so much more on my community tab. I just don't want to overwhelm y'all because I'll be watching so much shit. It's ridiculous. I live on YouTube. Ask my lady. I like live on YouTube and I watch everything. Car stuff, politics, social issues, shit going on in China that don't got nothing to do with us. It kind of does though. Everything. What's going on in Brazil? I thought Lula won, but apparently Bolsonaro won. But whatever. All right, y'all. I'm out of here. I'll pause right there. I did that for Toya. All right, y'all. Y'all have a good rest of y'all day.